is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/bgunlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome to the final discussion for Kingdom Death Monster. As of, I guess technically right now, because we are done.
Yeah.
30 Lantern Years. We are done with Determination Nation.
It was a great run.
As a series. Highlights, we killed all 3 legendary creatures. Technically, we shouldn't have fought one of them, the Golden God of 1,000 Years or whatever. We shouldn't have fought him, but we killed, Nemesis-wise, we had the Butcher, the Slenderman, the Hand once, Manhunter, Lion Knight, the Watcher, and then the Gold Smoke Knight. Quarries, we had White Lion, Screaming Antelope, Phoenix, and Gorm, and the Giga Lion. So that's how our settlement was, and I think I hate this game.
You think you do?
I think I do, because I have a pros and cons list. This is the only discussion I've ever made a pros and cons list for.
Okay.
Like, most of the time it's literally on the, when after we're done playing it, then it's like, okay, well, here's negatives, here are positives.
This is almost taking an entire year to do.
It's taken a year.
So I need some structure.
And so I wanted to at least have some structure, because we have already done one discussion years ago. Years ago. A year
Lantern
ago.
years
Lantern
ago.
years ago. And then I did my own discussion halfway, maybe about halfway through on my thoughts.
14, 15.
Something like that, yeah. And the rating for all of us were 10s. At the very beginning.
At the very beginning.
And then mine dropped to a 7. You guys were still 10s at that point. Cat also dropped. And then we're here. And that campaign was such bullshit. That ending is... I'm not sick to my stomach, but I could be. If I wasn't so apathetic by this point. Like, I'm just so numb to all just the negatives that I have. Because at this point, what lowers a rating for me is... If I can't look over the negatives to the positives. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I do have quite a bit of pros, and there's probably gonna be more as we talk. But the negatives are just so bad, and the number one con that I have is the reason why I can't look past it. And so we'll go ahead. What do you guys think of the campaign? We'll start with there before we get to the pros. What do you guys think, Josh? You missed.
6 games.
Was it 6? We did.
Well, because we did
6.
3 every time Devin came.
Yeah.
We were pushing.
I missed 6 games.
Did you ever fight the Lion Knight?
No, I missed it.
Ooh. Man, we bullied him so bad.
Granted, he came in. Literally, the last time you fight him was 15. Mm. So he started at level 1 around 18, and we had basically kind of these characters already.
So you guys smoked.
He was a joke. Yeah. But story-wise, he was cool. But so you missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you might have missed 7,
maybe
8. You missed quite a bit, actually. But nothing really happened. So pretty much up until Lantern Year 18 to 27. What do you guys think of the campaign? Devin, we'll start with you. Well, actually, I'll try to keep this as structured as possible.
I mean, this is the first time I have done, I have started several campaigns. I'm probably most of the group that is into the game.
True.
I mean, I myself have purchased it in its entirety.
That's true. After helping us purchase
I went
the core game.
Mega bonkers. I got the looks at Gen Con. It's like, oh, welcome to Kingdom Death. I remember hearing one guy say, I was like, dump my $1,400 fucking dollars.
And he's crying because he's also paying a shit ton of money.
Giant fucking black bag of shit that I had to carry back out and Uber out of there. Anyways, I'm off topic. What did I think of the campaign? It's I mean, I enjoy the gameplay loop of this game. I'm a weird guy, I like the Skinner box. I like winning, getting stuff, spending stuff. I like all that. I like those ideas. I love Monster Hunter. I like building the gear. I like building stronger. It just does it for me. Okay. It's, in my tastes, it just does it for me. I mean, yes, the ending, the story events, I understand. I understand all your qualms there.
Yeah.
And I agree with them.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the legendary monsters, that was very distasteful. Right. I don't want to have a punishment.
Right.
After I've just killed one of the, proverbial beasts of the game, the toughest of the tough.
Sure.
When you lost the arm.
Yeah.
I would have liked a nice little comic, a story of what happened, why it ended, but it just ended.
Yeah. You're talking about with the Gold Smoke Knight.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. That's what I expect. I expected the story event, like, hey, here's a whole new section you go to in the book for that. But nope, it was just a little excerpt, like the like every other boss,
Like
the vignette of death.
Yeah, that one had kind of a little, hey, here's what happened to the settlement and stuff like that. But it's just like, okay, you killed him, and you guys die.
It's like, I mean, I don't want to steal from like what you're going to say here.
No, you're good.
But everyone, the big thing that's in right now is the vague story. And kind of like Dark Souls, the vague, and I know I don't mean to steal from his.
No. It's completely okay.
But and that's what they really tried to do here with this game, story-wise. Just keep it all gray. A little snippet here. Maybe you can all piece somewhat together and kind of figure out what's going on in this world, where you came from, why this is even happening, why you died like this. And the really only sources is like online. You can look at their mini descriptors, or you can read all the hunt events, and then maybe you can figure out something. But it's just so awkward and impossible to gather all together.
Right, because normally what they do is Destiny did the same thing, was in a grimoire. Like, you kind of get the basic overlay of the story, but nothing too gritty, but you can go somewhere and find it. They don't do that. Like, it's not like you can go to their website and find all that lore. And, like, you get the snippets and the mystery. Because I'm all fine with that. I know you guys are probably going to say Dark Souls, and I'm right there with you. That vagary, which, when did Dark Souls come out? 2008? Something like that?
2009.
9? God. So, back then, that's what was in. That's what people loved it. But now you have Sekiro that has a story, and people are head over heels. Bloodborne also is still vague, but you can get the whole story. So I get the Dark Souls vibe, and that's what they were going for back then, but at least for me, it's like, okay, fine, have the vagary, though, what is the goal? But at least give me somewhere to fucking go and then get everything.
Right. It's like, that I mean, it was really cool at the time, but now it's like, okay, give me some more.
Yeah, like,
you can keep it vague, but give me some meat somewhere.
Yeah, like... Yeah, so, I mean, I get where you're coming from in the mystery, and that's what makes it cool, but even in Dark Souls, where it was so vague, you could read item descriptions, you could find it, because the game gave you the lore. And now they have books, where it's like, hey, here's your...
I have the Dark Souls compendium, and it has every item in every game.
So you can...
That's a thing?
Yep.
Yeah, I kickstarted a storybook called You Died, and it's a Dark Souls
amazing
book. And... it's like, so it's there. Here, it's just like and it's not even what Adam Poots has made. It's what other players have, like, scrapulated. Now, maybe there needs to be a Vati Vidya over this game to where he does a deep dive. Right, he does a deep dive into Kingdom Death.
Yeah.
But, like, where's the source material coming from?
Exactly. Like, it's coming from people. And but so okay, so it works for you, and that's your ilk. Like, you can overlook probably every negative that I'm gonna pinpoint.
Because I mean, yes, I mean, definitely one of my my cons is that it's unclear. Yeah. It's so hard. If you want to be a purist and you want to get all the rules right, do this game just right. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
It is hard.
There's a lot to keep track of, and you can almost never call yourself a purist trying to keep it all clean.
Sure.
And, kind of when we were getting to the end, I was trying to, like, okay, well, maybe, and now I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, let's just we just want to play. We wanted to finish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I get that way whenever it's a video game, and I'm just like, I just want to beat the fucking game. Like, every time I die, I'm just like, I'm more mad because I just really just want to get it over with.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at for the past probably 5-6 Lantern years. We're just like, oh, you died? No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So, okay, Josh. What were your thoughts on the
I was actually going to let Kat go first.
Oh, okay, Kat.
I will have less to say. In typical Kat style. I was disappointed with the campaign itself. Seth will know this very well. When I have to piece together and I have to form the lore by myself, I get mad. Because that's not my job. We watched the movie Bright. I hated it because I was like, that's cool. Who the fuck are all these people? Like, we never got to find out. Like, my biggest qualm is, after all that, after doing everything, why did we die? Like, I want to know why. Like, okay, he's the Gold Smoke Knight. Why did we die?
Why was he the final boss?
Yes, like, there's just more that, like, I crave to know, because a lot of times when I play these games, like, I don't play it for the action. I want to know the story. And so the campaign left a lot to be desired, because his writing is just, it's not good.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad. Like, I don't think his writing's bad.
Well, his storytelling,
and whenever we say he, we obviously mean Adam, but I'm sure he has a team that does it.
Yeah, anymore.
And I do want to say, because in my last discussion when I did by myself, I had a different expectation for the game. I expected it to be an RPG, and it's not. And since then, I've accepted that, and that's not even a negative. The role playing where this is not my character, that's actually not even a problem. Like, I actually kind of started to enjoy the different people that we could be like, oh, who do we want to bring out here? Whenever we were literally fighting him, I was so excited to use Yahweh, and then I was like, well, what about Matthew? Actually, he's really strong too. Yeah. So that's not negative. But whenever you're talking about the campaign, this is not a story-driven campaign. But it likes to pretend it is at times. And
during the early portions, definitely.
Yeah.
When we were building our convictions and building our settlement. That was, it felt like it. Like we were building our,
Right, but then it felt like towards the end, it was just like a little snippet here and there of just half-assed, he comes down from the heavens.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, just fucking make it just blanket. Make it just be like an 80s movie where I don't have to know why things are happening. Things are just happening. But they want to elude you that there's a deeper history, but they provide no.
That's the problem. No substance, no
fucking
material.
That's not the word.
I think after the Watcher, it really kind of dried up.
You're right,
because it's like
that's
they built up to the Watcher. Like, say if we just ended at level at 20, when we fought him, it would have felt fairly gratifying.
Wasn't the Watcher the end?
He was the original end. You're right. That's a good point.
I mean, granted, his fight wasn't fantastic. We mulched him.
Yep.
But
he would have been harder had we not had the Twilight.
But thematically, it would have ended earlier, and it would have felt better because we survived. That was what started our settlement. We would have lived on.
And it makes sense because what happened made sense. It's like, oh well, yeah, he was literally the Watcher. Like,
it cracked, and we found a new cave where he originally was, and it's like. That could have alluded to a second KDM. Like, been like, hey, actually, now this whole new world, they could have branched off. But you're right. That is a good distinction. Because after that, it was literally, oh, you guys have to have lanterns and only fight level 3s.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Because you fight, who do you fight up until then? If you fight them early, you will miss Butcher level 3. But that is it. That is it. And then, So, I mean... You're right. It sounded like they added 5 extra lantern years as padding. It's like literally just adding in, just extra DLC just to make the game longer. I agree with you, Kat. Josh.
So
I'm actually adding.
I came into this whole board game collective as a heavy video game person. And this board game is trying to do way too many different genres at one time.
Yeah.
It has the MMO aspect that we have to be several different characters. Like in Destiny, you can share loot across 3 characters, regardless of abilities and whatnot. It wants you to do that. This Gold Smoke Knight, I felt gratified that I died early to make sure that we won, but then everybody died.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is a Dark Souls ending that is not fun.
Yeah, that's true.
At least in Dark Souls, I have multiple endings. Even the first Dark Souls has 2. I either kill myself to keep the fire alive, or I succumb to darkness and become what I'm trying to kill.
The Lord of the Cinders.
So...
That is true.
To kill this thing and then to have it kill everyone as I die early. It made my death worthless.
Yeah.
That is true.
Because we were like, man, that's such a good way to go out.
Yeah, we were sitting there and you literally critted it 4 times and we have to do it with board games anyway, and we have to act out some things, and that would get me excited when we're pretending of where we're hitting it or throwing in the insanity aspect of how cool it is. And then we're like, okay, you rolled a 1, you're getting -4 because of your death mask. Yeah. You weren't even upset. No one here was upset.
I wasn't upset until I heard breathless sleep.
Yep.
So everybody died.
So it didn't matter. Yeah.
My death was meaningless.
Yep.
So I like all those different games, but I like them as their own thing. I like Dark Souls for its vague story and the item description, discovering. I like that in this game. I liked a lot of things in this game. I don't like it all together.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think and I'll start my pros and cons from the bottom up, because my number ones on them are obviously the bigger ones, because it was the first thing I thought of on both lists. I will say though that probably the reason because we've quit campaigns before through the series, and the reason why we kept going, there was a reason why I kept playing. Otherwise, I would have just wrote it off. But what helped a lot, honestly, was having Devin here, because one, you played it way more, so you were able to keep clarifying things, and you were the one who knew whatever lore there was. So if something happened, you'd be like, oh, that's because of this. And I was like, oh, great. So now I have some cognizance of the fucking item or who we're fighting or why the event happened. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting more into the story. So that was our thoughts on the campaign. Unless, Josh, you had any more to say?
My only other thing to put in is that I'm completely fine with a Dark Souls, like, you constantly die and you're punished and whatnot. Don't make it to where my character permanently dies. I have to lose and start over. I would not play Dark Souls if my first death I lost.
Yeah, permadeath.
I'm not playing Dead Cells. That thing's trash.
Fuck that game. I hate it.
That game is trash.
Like,
hot garbage.
I'd be fine. Okay, side note, with Dead Cells, if after you beat, like, the boss, then that's where you go back to. But nope. You can get all the way to the very end and start all the way over once you die.
Yeah.
It is shit. Yeah,
So,
I quit playing. But you're right, that's a good point. So yeah, when your character dies, it's just like, ugh. And whenever you're earlier in the game, I find it hard to believe anyone starts this game and doesn't get attached to their character. Especially if they're brand new to the game.
I think that's just natural.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we went back, obviously we have the expectations.
Oh yeah,
of
brand new into it, definitely.
Yeah, because I was so upset every single fight. Every time he got hit, I'm like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the whole thing is, what a lot of people have described it as, a city game. It's a hidden city. Essentially, it's not the individual survivors, it's the settlement that generates them.
Yes.
If you can create a proper survivor generator, because I see the game, it perpetually tries to kill your best people. Because you're coming out with your top group, and if you keep doing that, it's going to random kill them. It's going to find a way.
Or make
so
them
you
useless.
have to dependably generate powerful creatures, powerful fighters.
Yep.
So I see what they're doing. I mean, it's not super fun running into those circumstances. So you have this ageless god, and then fucking roll that shitty one, and then you fall into a crack.
Yep.
Like when the first time my first character death, I was okay with it because we ended up beating said character and we felt accomplished.
Right.
We get to the final boss and I die literally a turn early.
Two attack. Yeah, literally, it was a turn, but 2 attacks early. Yep.
And it's soured because he kills everyone else as soon as he dies.
I guess thematically, what we were going to do anyway was bronze them, so no better bronzing statue than the heroes who killed the Gold Smoke Knight, and that's how they're remembered. But you're right. So let's get to my cons list, because I know we're going to bounce around on that. So we'll start with my pros. And from what I have so far, and like I said, there'll probably be more. Expect a long discussion, because we probably have a lot to talk about, because it was a year. This is a year discussion.
It's a lot
Year
of
commitment.
But we might jump. It might be quicker. Who knows? But one of the pros is a sense of progression. So one of the things that was very, very exciting, and we brought it up multiple times. I brought it up today, and then also while we were playing, was you do, over the Lantern years, whether it's your settlement or your own individual heroes, as you cycle them out, you do actually have a feeling of that you are improving. Like Dark Souls, and we're going to probably keep referencing Dark Souls on.
That's what the closest thing.
It's very at least inspired by.
Yes.
Because in those games at the beginning, you feel worthless. You feel like that you can barely hit, that you're dying all the time, and same thing here. But by the end, we're literally yeah, that's a 90. Or that's a crit, or you roll a 4 and it's a crit.
Say, to show progression in Dark Souls, eventually bosses from the beginning of the game become common enemies.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So, we're sitting here, fight, you guys, I wasn't here for this, but you guys fought, level 3 antelope, legendary antelope, and destroyed them.
They were nothing.
And the first time we fought the lion, it was insane.
It killed 2 people, and Kat had to get a 10 because that was the only way we could have crit, and she got it. And it's as the elevation of beating the monster, the boss, and whatever, in Monster Hunter or Dark Souls or Bloodborne, any of those From Software games, and you're like, yeah! And those are the moments that feel good,
Yeah.
that make you feel like we literally, it was like, oh, Gold Smoke Knight, okay, I have Yahweh, oh, well, we have Gideon, we have Matthew, we have, let's see, who do we want to bring out to beat the shit out of this guy? Like, we had Crotch, Lick Me Off, and Abelcorn. They were even the losers. I feel like every pro I have is going to be a double-edged sword because I can say a con about the exact same thing. Because while you have that sense of progression, you mentioned it earlier, they always try to kill your best guy. So you only get like a taste. And there's a reason why, probably, because we had gods. 2 ageless people, one who couldn't come out of retirement, and then an immortal character.
Right.
I was going to say that only very specific things could have killed them, so they probably don't want you to have those because it makes the final boss easier, or the Watcher, or whatever. But then it's like, why have them? Why have that as an option if you're not going to scale to accommodate the same mechanics that they put in?
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. How I'm feeling it is that they want, you get to gain these powerful people. They want you to get them, but at the same time, that's what makes them so epic that they've survived so much. And I think that's what they were trying to create.
Gotcha.
They keep wanting to test and try to kill everyone they can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those that make it through and become this level, just that much tastier.
True.
And when you're an ageless sword master with a fucking black sword,
and a regeneration suit.
regeneration, it's like, oh, I lost my arm. Oh, I'm not worried about that.
Right, you just get it back.
I'm Deadpool over here.
Yeah. I mean, or like you also have like a luck god.
Yeah.
Like luck on it crits on 4s or higher.
That's
or
delightful.
a fucking, I mean, actually by the end of it, like I just had a shit ton of armor, so I was like, oh, what is that, 7 damage? Okay. And I couldn't be knocked back, so I was always constantly fucking wailing on him. And then Kat, the only thing that sucked about her character, because this is a nasty ass build, the claws.
Yeah.
She just was, but she was just immortal. So it's like, hey, how about you go stand in front of him so he'll focus you? Oh, what is that, 96 brain damage? Okay, you survived. Like, that's what made you gross. It just sucks because you had to sit there and hope that he came near you.
Right. When you become a tool.
If only.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
If
An
only
instrument
she had
of
more
victory.
Yeah. But other than that, if you got, what was it, where you could spend survival if you were still, like, insane or frenzied? I guess it wouldn't matter, because it was immortal that made you not be able to spend
Bitter
survival.
frenzy or whatever.
That's what it was. But yeah, like, if you could have dashed, you would have been fucking disgusting. Because, what is that? Okay, there we go. Oh, look at that. That's 70, that's the deck.
A trap? No problem.
Yep, I actually can ignore that. So, but I still like that. Like, you're right. The negative that I had for that one, you were able to debunk by saying the fact that you almost want to shelve them and be like, okay, well, wait. Which is what we did. But once we got to Ageless and stuff, we're like, okay, we'll just keep bringing them out.
Right.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
You're not going to die.
That's the point of Ageless.
Yeah, and so that's one of the pros, is it does feel good to look back and be like, man, a level 1 lion was so hard. And then now it's like, let's go hunt a level 3 for sport. Why not?
Chuckle in its face as it roars at us.
It was bad. Like, I think we beat like a level 3 white lion or antelope in like 25 minutes.
It was the one that didn't get to go.
Oh yeah, it was the
lion.
gold. It was the legendary because he happened to get ground fighting, and we just. I don't think it got to go.
It didn't.
didn't.
It
It didn't
did
even
not.
get to draw an AI card. We killed it that quick.
We dealt
Damn.
15 wounds in a turn.
Yep.
16. No, it was 15 wounds.
Yep.
God,
Because I was like double. I was like, oh, what? I just have to double its toughness. Okay, that's 30. Okay, that's 2. Now it's at 13. Okay. Oh, there it is again.
Yeah. Ground fighting, you just get the. If you ever. It's such an early game check.
Yeah.
That attack. Because, like, oh, do you have range? Like, early game,
True.
that would have been quite a check. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we have no range in the party.
Yeah.
Now, like, late game, it's like, we'll just
Right.
fucking set up ready for a fucking gangbang of death.
Say that
Yeah, that's
my
what it
character alone gets to attack up to 9 attack rolls.
You get three attacks. Yeah, with 3 dice.
Yeah, 3 dice plus 3 rolls because I get the surge for free.
Yeah. So that's one of the pros that I thought of. That was actually one I added later. So one of the cons is, and we've talked about it before, is that I believe they want this to be almost what I'm going to call games as a service.
Yes.
And where have we seen that succeed? Oh, never.
It's like succeeded twice, maybe.
And so what I mean by that is the amount of content that is promised to come out, and I'm sure it will. I mean, I don't have any qualms with the company as like, but because they have so much that's going to be coming out. And I guess I should put, they want this to be a lifestyle game. They want it to be where it's like, hey, this is one of the games that you are always playing. Whether you're doing different campaigns or you're doing this one again and you're trying to do different builds and stuff like that. My problem with that, and the reason why it's a con, is it almost makes it seem like the company's shady. Hey, let's keep dumping just little pieces of stuff. Let's keep, here's a little miniature that comes with a card or a new sticker that gets added to, so you have to keep buying. You have to keep fucking adding money into the game.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It's so addicting. It's infuriating, but I see the dark part of it, because it's just like what we hate in games with all their DLC, and you have to buy half of it to even have the game playable.
Yep.
And it's definitely of that same ilk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's what's the word I'm looking for? Stockholm syndrome.
I guess
it might be,
but it's. Yeah, I definitely.
And that's kind of what it is. Like, if you've already put the money in, I mean, that's gonna be a personal thing. If you have the money, well, that's your fucking money.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a problem buying 50 pinups just to have them, well, I mean, it's
like if you're gonna be a collector about it.
Yeah, you can do all that, and that's perfectly fine. As a con for me though, is it's never enough. Like, it's literally, hey, spend $40 on a mini that doesn't do anything. Every single mini I have over there, except the ones that we've personally made, just sit there.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're story related. There's no map where they're moving around and doing stuff where you can go talk to them. They're just there.
Like, we brought in the guy who's dressed up like a cat.
Yeah, he was a Halloween survivor.
I don't even know why we brought him in dressed like that. But
well, because that's how he was, and it was like, oh, that's closest to the character.
But you do have to bring up, I mean, when we're talking about miniatures, is that they've done what no one else has. Custom miniatures.
True.
Sprues to completely recreate the very armor that you have gridded. Then that, I have to say, is definitely worth mentioning.
it is pretty cool.
It is. And let's see, do I have that? Okay. Okay, that is also a con.
Putting them together.
Well, the reason why is, like I said, it's a pro and con.
Gotcha.
Because you're right, no one has done that. But
did they need to?
there's a reason. There's a reason why no one does that, because no one buys their games. So many people, and they have a shit ton of money. Like, literally millions of dollars, because of how much it costs to fucking even play the game.
Yeah.
But the miniature assembly is what turns so many people off from this hobby. It's like, I've heard multiple people say, oh, I'd buy that, I just don't want to put the minis together.
I remember you guys would dedicate nights and nights to just sitting up
For the core game.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
Putting
is
together Rachel.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, fine, miniature. I actually enjoyed it. It's kind of fun. And you're right, it is absolutely a lot of fun to sit there and be like, okay, what does everyone wear? I took pictures so I could look and be like, okay, so that's what they have, and I'd make it together. Like, here's you with the beacon shield and your Twilight sword with the Gorm armor. Like, that represents you as the final fight. Here's me with mine, and this is badass. But you want to know how it also is another negative? If you keep playing this game, you run out of pieces. So it's only customizable for that current campaign.
Unless you want to start breaking.
Unless you want to start, you can magnetize them, get a little drill, and
that's insanity. It's possible, but it is positively ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, they sell the armor sets separate. So keep pumping money into their game.
Very true.
So you can even make a second character with lantern armor or leather armor or things like that. Otherwise, only one person really gets to play their character, unless you want to share armor.
Like, biggest comparison, most multiplayer games now, Destiny, the newest Call of Duty, Fortnite, all that stuff, they have seasons where it's like, okay, for this next X amount of weeks, this is the content you have. Since it's a board game, they can't just pump it out.
Right.
You have a wait time for development, and
literally years.
Yeah, and it doesn't fit the formula as well as video games do it.
Right.
So the whole thing that they're trying to do is super flawed in my opinion. I get why they do it. It's to help fund things later.
Yeah. True.
To make money, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's whatever. And I agree. Super customizable up until a point. I just don't see how it's viable for a lot of people. And I get the nuisance of having to put stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one for doing that.
Sure.
But
I thought I was going to hate it. I enjoyed it. Like, it was fun. I mean, frustrating, and definitely at times to get them. But then if you can do them right, like, that would never be a minion that they would make with the lion claws and the cape to almost perfectly represent this build.
Yeah.
And that is really cool. But going back to the games as a service or the lifetime game is... Do I have it as another con? Yeah, so actually that's kind of it. Just because I have other cons that will relate on what I'm about to say, and I want to kind of keep it structured. But yeah, that's the problem. Is you have to constantly wait for the lifestyle, for the extra stuff to come out. Mm-hmm. So, Kat, did you have anything on that?
Not really, because I didn't put them together.
Well, the games as a service, the fact that it's just like...
I don't know too much about it. It frustrates me whenever I have to spend like a lot of money on one thing.
You didn't even spend any money on this game.
Yes, I did.
Well, you put in towards the big Black Friday thing.
Yeah, I
think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like even when it's a hobby that I enjoy, like I look at the price tag and I'm like, fuck. So. Yeah. I also don't like it when a game makes you buy DLC to kind of like put things together or
to
whatever.
Get more.
Yeah, but so yeah, I mean I'm not a fan of stuff like that.
I mean when they call it a, I'm not interrupting anyone here.
Nope, you're good.
With creating this lifestyle game, like how many different types of games exist in that genre? What is all that comes to my mind are war games. That's the only thing I can think of.
Definitely skirmish games are more games. Like your Warhammer. Your X-Wing, your things like that. Those are your lifestyle games, but those are tournament heavy. So that's what keeps them. You're constantly going to be doing that.
Because Magic is like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Magic would be one. And then I would almost say campaign games are a lifestyle. So saying things like Seventh Continent, Taint and Grail, Gloomhaven. I wouldn't necessarily call those lifestyle because they're not all pumped out over a span of years.
Right.
They're like, here's your game, here's your campaign. It has choices, play it. But yeah, so it is a little bit different. There is almost nothing that's like this.
Right. And I mean, well, a lot of the skirmish games like the Warhammer, I mean, they have a very similar miniature accessibility. You know, it's like, you buy them in bundles, and then you have to put them together.
True.
And then some just in astronomical prices.
You have to paint
to
be in tournaments.
Exactly.
I felt like colors.
Yeah. I felt like they were searching for something like that, but they wanted to get that dedicated audience without... the people that were willing to be that dedicated to a board game, but just weren't into war games. To something else, just a little twist on it. And that's kind of what I feel like they were trying to do.
Sure. And I mean, that's a valid point. It's like, kind of Josh mentioned it as it had different aspects of a lot of different things. It's like, it almost like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted to have a little bit of everything, but it's like, well, we want to have it like a skirmish game, but not a skirmish game. It's like, but they almost failed to design it as such or hone it in to where it's like, okay, yes, I do kind of get that lifestyle feel, but where the fuck is all my shit? Like, why you can't buy it in bundles? You have to, like, literally, you have to wait. Like, the Gambler's Chest is the one that's next, and that's a big thing of their Kickstarter extras, and it's like, what was that going to be like? Like, so, I don't know. Like, to each their own, and everything about this is, I mean, it's a discussion, so it's obviously subjective. Like, none of this is like, it's clearly like objective. Funny enough, the next pro I was going to have was miniature assembly, so I did have it as a pro because there is good things to it, but the biggest con was that you have to put it together, and it's like, yeah, so the next pro I'll say is the settlement phase. Now this would be a con for her. I really like the settlement phase.
I do too.
I think that, well, especially once we stopped recording it, because at that time, whenever we were recording it, I was like, kind of really just like, okay, let's try. I have to be entertaining, and also like we have to be efficient with everything we're saying. But there's a lot of times where you want to sit and think. You want to play around with different, and that's not fun. So off camera, we were able to just casually look through the innovation deck
and enjoy it. Yeah,
for
what it's worth.
That's the role playing part. Like, that's where you finally get to look back and be like, okay, this is our settlement. This is what we've done. We had a theme. We were extremely we were barbaric Chads. Like,
that's where the whole civilization part of the game comes into effect.
Yep. And that's what I personally almost always enjoyed it. Now, the settlement events were not fun. Most of them suck. Like very few times are they ever decent.
It's like them in the hunt phase. They're just after you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several good in the settlement events, but then there's just as many bad that are out to just kill your guys.
Yeah.
I remember when that guy wiped half of our population.
That was the hand. He came in and like almost
slayed everybody, but then gave us 2 babies.
Yep, gave us babies. I mean, you have a lot of ones that get added from the expansions that were thrown in there that are just like the Gorm Rain.
Oh man,
where it's just
like
you constantly always
acid rain.
Acid rain. It always ate your resources, and it's like, look, this is the one thing we get is resources,
and it's so important.
And it's so important. Stage. I guess now it wouldn't matter because we had so many that were just like, oh fuck it.
Oh yeah, settlement phase 29.
Yeah.
Gorm Rain. All right, you know what? You can just take all the resources.
Get rid of the bones.
Cool. What the fuck?
Get rid of all the hide. We have it. But those were stuff like the nicknames and things. Like, that's whenever the story elements came in that we could also be like, oh, this is what we are. And now the principles were really cool. I wish there were more to kind of give you a little bit more variety in how your settlement was structured.
It would be cool if they had different themes, because I know they had like the whole romantic build versus the barbaric build.
Right.
I would like a few more builds.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you kind of mix and match with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what themes, that's up for the creators to make, but that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, where you can, like kind of almost like a theme for Animal Crossing, where it's like, oh, hey, I have a Japanese theme, I have a European theme, so you can do multiple different types of builds, or mix and match, and try and come up with full combos, which would be really neat. Like, I like sitting there and deciding, oh man, what do we want to build? Oh, we can do this, and like, oh, that'll be perfect for that, and like what we got. But once again, there's always a negative to it. And the negative for me for the settlement phase was the fact that you were almost never building for everyone. So in a 4-player game, you were almost, each settlement phase was like, oh, okay, everything is going towards you. Because that's what we fought. We fought the antelope to get this one specific person gear. While everyone else, mainly Kat, up until literally halfway through the game, she just sat there and is like, well, I mean, I'm not doing any innovations, I'm not getting any armor, so why am I here?
Yeah.
And that's kind of disappointing, because everyone, it's like, well, we all fought it, and so we should all reap the benefits from it, but you can't. And then that's whenever you go and hunt the same thing over and over and over to be able to, okay, well, next time we'll get you this, because we'll have to fight it again. But other than that, like the summon phase I did enjoy. I did kind of look forward to seeing early on in the game what we were going to use the gear for. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I know you hate the settlement phase.
I just hate it just because it like oddly has never been my thing. Like, I just don't enjoy like that kind of thing. And when you have 2 people who are already like really into it, like when you handed me this and I was like, you guys are like basically the head honchos at it, it's just because like I just don't like to look at this and be like, oh my god, like
look at your gear.
Where do I need to put it? What do I need to do?
It becomes a reference later on more than anything, because like we know exactly what the characters can do.
Right, yeah.
And so the only thing it was confusing is because we had to wait till the very end of the game before you got the claws.
Yeah. It's just never like my cup of tea. Like, if someone's willing to do it for me, I'm just like, you probably know best.
Right.
Like,
I certainly had to rein myself in on my personal games, you know.
Really?
I'm like I know too damn much, and it's like I'm realizing in my settlement phases, I'm like, okay, no, we're gonna take the steps that they describe so that everyone can get involved, because it's like I'm not gonna meta this. So then, I've gotten to the point like, okay, so every single time I put out every single innovation, I put them out, and because neither of them have played to the point I have. So then when we get endeavors, I distribute everyone. We generate like 6. So you get 2 to spend. You get 2 to spend. I have 2 to spend. So you have absolute executive decision over that endeavor. We can try and convince each other, but those are your endeavors to spend. Yeah. And I'm thinking about doing that with resources, but that might be difficult. But that's kind of, I'm trying to craft it so everyone's involved, because Marcy's kind of in the same place as you are. Kind of like, I think I could do this thing, and never really fully learning all the rules because it's like, here's Devin just charming. Oh, you fucking twice. No, add sit. No, put that back.
Stop crying.
This is the hit phase, not wounding.
And it can be overwhelming because there is so much to this game. Like, look how many endeavors are in there. Like, I look at that.
And how many of them were fucking useless?
Yes.
A lot of them were just, hey, add these cards to the innovation deck. And
or
it's like, okay, what do we have?
Sometimes even it's just, and this might be a bunny trouble, sometimes it's something that it's like, oh, I could do that, but I could also roll a 1 and get eaten. Like, so do I want to do that? Like,
yeah.
Let's see. Settlement phase wise, I think it's fine. But once again, Devin makes a good point. Like, we would always focus. Well, you made this point. We have to focus on everybody, and it just felt awkward to just sit here and watch everybody. All right, we're just gonna get cat.
Right.
Yeah.
Lion gear.
Yeah.
We're gonna get me antelope gear, Gorm gear.
Yeah.
Like,
Watch one person get excited because they're the ones being, and then like you almost feel like an asshole because it's like, okay, so we have 6 iron. I'm spending all of it for me, and I mean you put up like that would work because there's times throughout the hunt phase or the fight where it's like you gain like, hey, gain a random basic, and you're like, oh, okay, I have this.
yeah.
That's not a bad idea to sit there and be like, okay, as probably a settlement would do is like, okay, well, we hunted, okay, so boom, 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 here's what you get. Like divide and portion it out. But it's like, that would be weird because it's like, it's a settlement, so you build it for the settlement because this is not my person, this is the settlement's person.
Yeah, it's awkward. I mean, and it's one of the suggestions that you can do. You can do it democratic style, or you can do it where you do hand out everything. And yeah, it just depends on what works, for the personal group.
And it worked out. I mean, everyone got what we wanted. Like, we got a build, and towards, like, there were times where it's like, okay, well, I got my armor, so endeavor and do whatever you guys want. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm happy with this. And so, obviously, it'd be worse if you were in, like, a group where, like, everyone argued with each other. Where it's like, well, can I? No, I need the hide. And it's like, why am I playing with you? You suck.
Who hangs out with this guy?
Right?
Who keeps inviting him?
So I did enjoy the settlement phase quite a bit.
Oh, another thing about the campaign. I know I'm backtracking. It would have been so much better if, like, the people that killed it, because in the fight itself, it said his face was mournful, like sad, sorrowful.
Yep.
If, like, the little snippet was like, the smoke comes out of him and then suffocates whoever's alive, and then they turn into gold smoke knights. That would have been, that would have been something.
Or something where it's like you feel like you feel like you're overpowering him, but you see once again his sorrowful face as he realizes that your attempts are all in vain. Like you can't kill him because he's some god, and he still strikes you down. That would have been, you know what? And that's all it takes. Literally, is more fucking story explaining.
Just a little more.
Not just like, okay, yep, breathless slumber. What?
Yeah.
It's like, why'd we even bother? Why'd we spend 30 fucking... That's like watching a 6-hour movie and it's a dream sequence at the fucking end.
It's almost like season 8 of
Game of Thrones. It's like, why'd we waste a year just to fight this guy? Being like, oh my god, he's so... And he was easy. Like, one person died. That was actually... I was like, okay, thank God. I was actually like, one person died. Like, he wasn't a pushover. He actually
and we
killed
let
someone.
them really die. We were like, okay, we're not gonna
we were like,
fudge it.
okay, yeah, I don't think you have a once in a lifetime. You died. Okay. Then it's like, oh, nope, everyone else dies. So you're like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean...
Wait.
In the ranges that the game offers, I mean, we were fucking gods.
True.
I mean, honestly, I would have been surprised if we were challenged.
Yeah.
I would have been like, how do you win this game? I mean, because I was like, look at my stats. These are absurd.
Yeah.
I'm a master. He's the master. You're a master.
Yeah.
We're decked out in masks and the best armor in the game. And I was like, yeah, I would have been surprised if we were challenged.
If we were challenged.
If it was like ferocious.
I mean, we were challenged by the god. Like the
gold eye.
We sure were.
Yeah, so that one, I mean, while it was frustrating, the hunt phase really is what killed that fight for me. That was actually hard.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, oh, by the way, yeah, he teleports. Oh, and he bleed. And it's like,
he punches you with this giant feathery
feather
fist.
wing. Yeah, and disembowels you. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Because, like, that was the first, every single time. Butcher level 3, in the 2 legendaries, every single time we had everything, and I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we killed him in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so then with the fucking Phoenix, I was like, I was unfazed. I was like, oh yeah, he has all this stuff. Who cares? And it's like, oh my god, 2 people died.
So you're like, whoo! And then we almost died.
Yeah, we almost died, and I was like, huh. So that was exciting. I expected the Gold Smoke Knight to be something of this equal caliber,
Right.
and he wasn't. So
Well, he was because he ET-PK'd.
I did a total party kill against all of us. So my next con was actually added while we were doing the session, and I have the hunt phase is repetitive and boring.
I started to not care for the
I
hunt phase.
hate the hunt phase so much. Because it is literally nothing but pure random. Like, you have absolutely no control over anything. So half the time you're like, do I even want to bring these people out? Because who knows what the fuck is going to happen. And that is... I hate it. I hate it. And the repetitive nature is the overwhelming darkness. Whenever you're hunting, you're going to see their same hunt events.
I got you.
And even the deck, like the custom deck that Devin and I went and bought and printed... made it a little bit better, but half the time when we were rolling on that table, we kept seeing the same thing. Oh wow, the gambler again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, we stopped
got
seeing
Trollbird.
Yeah, and it's like I get it that you're going to be going on a hunt, and I guess thematically it makes sense because if you're fighting the lion, you're gonna have this. This is the path towards where the lions live. But it's like theme doesn't always make good game mechanics, and that I feel like it's just a phase that they put in. And it's like, man, that was okay for the first once you haven't seen everything, but now I just hate doing it. It's an extra step that I don't want to do.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I would have liked it a lot more if like it was random's fine. The repetitive part of it is a pain in the ass. I don't want to be on this hunt board and then get moved back, have to do the darkness again, and then possibly get the same event over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
I also don't want to be horribly viciously maimed right before a fight.
Right, but literally
If not
right before a
carried
fight.
off by mods
And we
murder.
know for a fact they're adding in mini fights during a hunt phase before you even go for a fight. And I'm like, why? Hey, you know how your characters can randomly get fucked up and potentially die even before they make it to the showdown? It's like, this is the game. The showdown is the game. This is a subset of the game, and it's awful.
I mean, I understand. There's definitely a huge portion of random.
That might be your...
A huge dose. And I understand that. They do have methods within the settlement to try and mitigate to the best of your abilities.
Yeah.
I know that it's constantly, like, it's going to be great, because we had that one that was just, we were swimming in courage.
Yeah,
Courage for days.
true.
It was amazing.
You can
And then-
potentially ambush.
Yeah. I mean, there's one called fucking Acid Rain, where you take, like, 3 damage to every single hit location for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got, the Harvester, which I still don't agree with.
Yeah. And
But-
I bought the different one, the fucking house brewed one, homebrewed.
Yeah, where you can just throw the instrument.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
and
was
I
right.
agree with that. That is just fine, because that is easily the harshest one.
Yeah.
that I have ever.
For the record, it's all survivors gain a random resort and must spend a survival or be devoured whole. If you have noisy gear, you are also devoured. And
No matter what.
No matter what. You cannot avoid this in any way. So if you have 0 survival, which you always depart with some, but in her case, with her being immortal, she can't spend it. She would have just been eaten. But it's like, but she's immortal, so she should be able to cut her way out. You have fucking claws. You'd eventually get out. Like, it's Jar Jar.
It's Jar Jar Binks.
Misa!
It's Jango Fett, or Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit. He eventually got out. And it's like, okay, so that doesn't make thematic sense. And why can't I throw the noisy gear?
Right.
And
And that's just fine. But anyway, the point I was making is that the settlement does provide a few key things. I mean, one that mainly comes to mind. They do have an innovation.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, like they have things like the war room.
That's an expansion, though.
That is. But then they also have one, which is like the main one that comes to mind, and that's Song of the Brave. And we never got it.
That's true.
But Song of the Brave is incredibly instrumental on the hunt board. If you can manage to build it, which unfortunately we never did.
Yeah.
But it allows everyone to take Path of the Brave, no matter what.
Okay.
It also allows you, when you arrive, to take one of your -1 tokens away that you probably would have gotten from Overwhelming Darkness.
Gotcha.
So that
okay.
makes the hunt so much more breathable.
True.
I mean, there's a whole bunch that can go on. Don't get me wrong. I just want to say I want to defend it a little bit.
No, that's fine.
But I mean, there is a bunch of luck.
I feel like all my cons, you're going to be like, yeah, no, I agree. But, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. I want that.
It's called an opinion.
No, and I don't want
I just
you
have
guys...
to say that, why I am so into it.
Sure, yeah, and that's what I want. I don't want people to watch this and be like, wow, that guy is just talking over everyone, and they look scared to even disagree. It's like, no, I want...
We disagreed once and he hit me pretty hard.
It's like, if you like it, then that's perfectly fine.
You like it. There's a sudden cut in it, and Devin's got like
ow,
got like blood coming from his brow.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would like, because for those that have played it a bunch, is like, say, a whole separate. I would like to say, say if they had different campaigns, I would like to see a whole different hunt table.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it could still be the 0 through 100, but I would like a new.
True. Yeah.
Because it would definitely get old.
It would freshen it up. I know you mentioned that the Lonely Tree or the Flower Knight and someone else has like a different overwhelming. So it's not overwhelming darkness. It's like, okay, so they understand that that's annoying. So it's like, just make it. How hard is it to print 100 fucking things? Can't be that hard.
No, I mean, they got the writers. I mean, he's got like 1,000 artists.
Yeah, he has He has like $6 billion at this point, so he can afford to pay someone to come.
People have even homebrewed their own hunt tables to
sure.
extend it. And I mean, sure, they're pretty great.
Yeah, I bet you can also find it and print them off like we did with these cards, and that would have been nice. But it's like at the same time, they have the money. I shouldn't have to pay some fan to make a different hunt table.
It does feel like because I'm sure you're going to cover it here later, but yeah, we definitely. It feels like we have to compensate for an awful lot for what for what we're paying for here.
Yep. So I'm gonna keep going on cons because I have more cons. I have 9 cons written and then 6 pros. My other con is that the difficulty almost seems fake because it's all random. Like I have randomness equals difficulty, and it's not that, like, the AI deck and all that is perfectly fine because that's technically random. But it sounds like, oh, well, the game's hard, and it's because I remember that guy we talked to at Gen Con. He's like, it's impossible. Like, he was like adamant that you couldn't get to Ledger near 30, and it's like, yeah, probably because we probably would have constantly had full party wipes just by sheer rolls alone. Like, how many times were we sitting there and it's like, oh, that's interference, like when it obviously wasn't. But we fudged so many die rolls. We ignored basic where it's like, oh, they're gone, like, throughout the thing. And it's like, well, that's what makes it hard, because your best people just, oh, that's a shame, you needed an 8. Yeah, no, that's your 5th bleeding token. And it's like, okay, there's nothing I can do about almost anything.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it extremely frustrating, because it's like, the game didn't really make it hard. Like, the way it's like, it's not that I didn't understand how to fight him.
Right.
It's the fact that, wow, I just happened to roll on a table that kills me. Like, okay, that's that. Yeah. So
we've said it before, like, even in video games, like, hard for the sake of hard is not a fun mechanic.
Like, if I can't find a way to overcome like a difficult situation through either experience or through figuring out a puzzle or something, then that's what makes it very frustrating, because it's like, well, there's no way I could have even fixed this. Like, I just okay, well, it's a 1
you can
or a 10.
Perfect technique. You cannot perfect a dice roll.
Right. So, and
D&D very much.
Yeah, I mean, even then you have the DM who can sit there and be like, okay, like, he can make it easier.
Mentally, you can just be like, oh, you rolled a 1. You failed to do this, but stumbled upon that.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, at that point, it's like, and I'm not even talking about the hit location deck. That's a mechanic. That's something that they put items in the game to mitigate that, the randomness of that. The cat eye, we did it for 7-8 lantern years, where it's just like, okay, let's constantly have that 4th person surge to constantly look at that. That's how you mitigate randomness. And it's both in the hunt phase and the settlement phase, and on the traumas, where it's just too much randomness. I don't mind random for story elements, but when almost every low roll, even on what's a good table, is a bad result, it's like, why? Why can't you just give me something? Hey, you killed the legendary antelope. Sorry, your arm gets ripped off and you get some dick shit sword. And it's like, why? Your game can be hard and it can be random. That's fine. Just mitigate it. like fucking calm down and like, okay, yeah, there's some randomness, that's fine, but there's multiple ways that you can work around that. I almost feel like there's not. It's just you get what you get.
Right.
Except for the once in a lifetime reroll.
Oh, right. Those are definitely, and that was actually patched in 1.5. They didn't have that before. And nobody would do survival of the fittest until that patch.
Why would you?
It was really hard. Well, I act like I know. Like I fucking bought this game when it first came out.
You went out bought the first edition.
I want to be a fanboy so hard that I backtracked in time, and I bought it when it first
I went on eBay and spent 18 grand to buy KDM 1.0 to get the true experience. So I'm not a fucking pleb.
Right. I definitely agree. We're coming from there that there is so much randomness, and it's so hard to mitigate all of it, and you can't. It is impossible. And what they do give you, the cat eye circlet, the rawhide headband, to try and control. It's just and there's even a few innovations that let you kind of be a little more strategic during your fights, to avoid some of that dice roll randomness, to get a reroll here to increase your odds to the best
or
of your
sharp
ability.
or something like
sharp,
that. Yeah.
Right? And it's, I would like a little more tactical, to make me feel like I'm overcoming this. But I understand it's a civvy. They wanted that's how people keep describing it. It's like did you make a strong enough survivor to come in here and kick ass?
And it's like, I did, but through no fault of my own, there were 7 fucking hunt phases that it was if you roll bad, you die. And it's like, I can't control that.
Right.
And everything you mentioned affects the fight. I actually don't mind almost any of the randomness in the fight. I get it, where it's like, oh man, do I hit? Oh man, I missed. Like, that's okay. It's the randomness outside, where the murderer, where it's like, okay, so someone just kills our most experienced hunter, why? Why can't we stop that? Like, or literally the 10 cards that you draw for the hunt phase, and then it's like, okay, well, it's just all that outside of the game, really, randomness that actually really bugs me.
Right, and then, like I said before, they're trying to kill your experienced guys.
Yeah,
they have an image, that they have for this game. They want to keep you keep it the way they want it. They don't want you to have like a god character for too long.
Yeah.
They want to try and kill them off and make sure that you are generating people dependably without relying too much on one select group.
Yeah.
And I see that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Which almost negates one of the ways you can build your settlement, because the way we built it, we have 13 population. So if they're constantly trying to kill your people, it's like, okay, I will never play that way. If the other way, you have 90 people and so you're, oh wow, one person died, okay, I have so many others.
Right.
So it's like, it almost quells you away from one of the ways that you can play the game.
Right. But then they do compensate it with, because with the barbaric build, obviously they give you we cannot die from brain traumas. They give you that.
Yeah,
they give us the once per lifetime reroll that has infinite usage in the rules. It's just like if they are participating, they can use it. So even during our intimacies, so we're still can dependably generate survivors. And
they come out jacked.
They come out jacked once you have the innovation.
Mother, I am here.
So I think they did okay. Honestly, if we could have died from 1s and 2s from brain traumas, that would have been
true.
That'd have been a big pile of shit.
That is true.
So they do okay. Depending on the different builds here that they both have, they've definitely improved on keeping them a little more balanced.
Yeah.
At least from what I've read on one point, the original cast of the game.
Yeah. Sounds like that they did improve somewhat from their original game.
But honestly, my original topic was the randomness, and yes, it is. You have to grin and bear it.
It's
excessive. You have to accept it that it's part of the game, and if it's just you don't like it, it's not for you. It's not the game for you.
You guys have anything to add?
Yeah.
To that one. What do you guys think about the randomness? You guys fine?
So. Randomness in a video game, because I'm experienced in that more than board games. So randomness. Oh, and D&D. Randomness in D&D.
Sure, yeah.
You use your mind to just mitigate it. In this, there's clear cut rules. Like I still get mad when I play Destiny 2 and the loot I get after playing a Nightfall fucking 3 hours in, and I get shit at the end of it. Pisses me off. Like, why?
Yeah.
I should be guaranteed something decent at least.
That's actually a good point for the fucking random drops, the death blows. in that it's like the only way to get the riot mace was to get the death blow on a Gorm. And it's like, oh. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, you're fine. I understand the randomness in fights because, like, quote unquote, if this were to actually happen, I'd be terrified. But anything could happen. Like,
True.
Literally anything could happen. I get that in fights and in society, like just right now, anything's possible.
Right.
I get the random events in the settlement phase and all that. I get the random events in the hunt step, but to have it happen hundreds of times to the same, like, 4 characters.
Right.
The only, like, thing I could think of to mitigate it would be to, like, this person can never experience this again.
Yeah.
That would be one way to mitigate it.
Right.
Or that I would try to mitigate it. It's like, why should this person ever have to deal with the gambler ever again?
Yeah.
Or the harvester or whatever.
Yeah.
They understanding being a stat, maybe at a certain point of understanding, you're like, yeah, I know that's bad. I ain't fucking with that
that's
again.
true. And I mean, a few of them are like that. If your understanding is 3 or higher, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
And it's like they have inklings, and it seems like they understand that that's a problem, but they don't have it enough.
Yeah.
And one point that I'd like to make, I probably should have made this at the beginning if anyone's still watching, is this is all before Wave 3 and 4. So they could fix all this in Wave 3 and 4, and it's like, okay, well, now the problem's moved, but we obviously don't know that. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It is technically anything could happen. It's like, oh, well, that's life. Sometimes you can't avoid whatever, and you die along the way. And it's like, yeah, but I try to escape life. I understand that someone can break into my house right now and slaughter us all. I don't want to play a game that also reminds me that death is imminent. So
yeah, you games are an escape, and trust me, I know Devin likes to grind because of Monster Hunter. I love grinding in Destiny. I love it.
And I am not a fan of grinding. I like grinding in Dark Souls because there's a sense of progression.
And that's exactly where I'm getting at. It pisses me off when I play Destiny and I get shit.
Yeah.
Like in Diablo or in XYZ game. As long as I am moving forward, I don't care about the grinding.
Right.
But if the grinding's senseless, then I'm literally doing insanity.
Yeah. You're literally just wasting time. Kat, what do you think?
I mean, we've said it before in other games. Like any kind of randomness it's just hard to deal with. Like when you're on a roll, you're hitting crits, and all of a sudden you roll a 1. You're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
and you take the good with the bad. Like, that was going to relate to what I was going to say next, was dice happen. And it's not even the fact that dice are involved. Because, like I said, the rolling to hit, okay, it's like, oh, man, yeah, that sucks that I missed, or getting the trap. And it's like, fuck! But that's thematic. And so you're right. It's like, oh, man, okay, yes, a 10! And then it's like all excited. And you're like, ooh! But then you could equally roll a 1, and then it's an auto fail. No matter if, oh wow, like you're 30. If you roll a 1, it's still a failure. And it's like, yeah, so that sucked, but dice do happen. But I think it's just the event. It's really actually the randomness of the events.
Yeah.
That
because
just
like
kill it.
like just to pull a card to be like, oh man, someone just got
Wow, harvester, okay, I guess we died.
Yeah.
It's like, alright. Wouldn't you feel like you could understand, oh hey, the ground's trembling, move!
Don't bring any instruments, guys. We
Yeah.
might draw that.
Yeah.
Like, the only way I could think of to also justify it would be more, like, story to it. Because, like, in Dark Souls, you're playing a character living through a cycle.
True.
And it feels like that's what they wanted our characters to be. Like, they're living through lantern cycles until a definitive end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, because the way we just appeared, we just woke up.
Yeah.
True.
I mean...
Oh, yeah. We
we
never
asleep.
made that connection. We always assumed the lantern years were linear, but they could literally be a lantern cycle, where it's like, okay, these people lived, and then now they're just progressing forward.
To keep the lantern lit, we killed our quarry, and then the current characters died, and then were reborn or something.
Yeah.
That would make a lot more sense.
But we don't know.
But we don't know.
Yeah, so,
Well, I think it's like every Hunt XP, like every age wasn't it like a lifetime for someone?
it was a very, very indescript amount of time.
Right? Yeah. I guess it was.
I mean, because it's strange. I mean, the way the lore reads is like, I guess like the Watcher essentially it feeds off our history, feeds off of human history, and that's just what we happen to. I mean, because there's different campaign styles, on how what you end up doing.
Sure.
But I think they all start where you kind of just wake up and you don't know what the hell's going on. Then you have different story events that lead you down your different campaign routes. But I mean, in the core game, Story of the Lantern, we happen to find a Watcher's lure.
Yeah.
And so then he allows us to grow and build and protects us while he feeds off of us and becomes what he needs to be or whatever. And
see, isn't that amazing? That sounds so fucking cool. Put it in the fucking game.
I know.
Like, so I was gonna have another con.
That took quite a bit of reading.
I bet.
I had to dig a lot.
I actually tried. I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, KDM lore. I'm like, Devin's finding it somewhere. I had no idea where to go.
Yeah, Collector KDM just it sucks, but if you just flip through all the minis and then read their little descriptors, I got quite a bit of data from all that.
And that's
you could probably make like your own like little lore book like
for
your game.
I mean, that's the thing is there's people who make apps and stuff like that and ways to help streamline the game and things like that. And but you have to get his approval if you're gonna make money off of it, I think. And it's like I don't know if he's like that guy that's like, no, this is mine. Which funny enough, my other con was gonna be designer direction. And we've kind of been hitting on it where they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. Devin and I know for a fact with the wave updates that he just keeps wave 3 and 4 keep getting pushed back because he literally has said I want to keep adding stuff. And as a end user, as the one who paid for the game already, it's like I understand it's not a pre-order system, but at this point it kind of is, and it's like, stop. Like you give me quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I mean, and think that those people, those very dedicated people that put all that money, when the Kickstarter first was created.
Yeah.
How many years has it been?
Oh,
and they haven't seen all of their stuff yet.
That is true.
I mean,
they saw a second KDM before they got to see their Wave 3 stuff.
A second KDM?
Well, the 1.5.
Oh, yeah. Where they updated
the fucking the core game so new people can get it. And they're like, where the hell's my shit?
Wait a minute.
Okay. And that's the thing, is like you're sitting there and it's like, okay, so there has to be some reason why. And it's because he can't fucking just say no to stuff. He keeps putting stuff in. Oh, hey, in the middle of the hunt phase, you can fight giants. And it's like,
that's cool. Why? Let me do it.
Yeah, and then the other part is it's not like we have to wait for the factories because we put the fucking minis together. Yeah. So it's like I have to wait for the molds and then wait for all that to get done. It's like I make half your game, so and it's even sorry.
No. Well, just what it makes me think of is like he's someone who pulled the rookie maneuver where it's like I can make a game, so I'm gonna do it. I got approved for everything, but he has no actual structure in his life. Like if he has that much content, maybe he should actually focus it and turn it into a separate game. Right. He has to have a plan. It's it's the business that he's running.
Yeah, and that ties back to the lifestyle. Like he wants to keep making it to where there's always something. There's always something new. And don't get me wrong, I am stoked for Wave 3 and 4. And I have met Adam, and he's a very nice guy, so this is no slight or dig at him as a person.
I'll kill him.
But from a design...
That's like, I've never met him before.
No, he's very nice, and he was super helpful whenever I asked him, hey, can I still jump into... I didn't back it, but can I jump in? And he was super helpful with that. But it's a rookie old Kickstarter mentality. It's bloat that makes people hate Kickstarter, because I guarantee you, if this game was released today, it probably wouldn't do as well. And it's this because this came out and when was the 17?
It's been a few years.
Yeah, 16, 17 was 1.5.
Some people wait 4 years and they still haven't seen
and they still haven't seen all of it.
And they put their $3,000 to get everything or some shit. Yep. I don't know what it was to get everything.
To get everything at that time. Yeah.
But
and that's what makes it extremely frustrating because you look at some of the quality, which I mean the quality for some of the expansions now is shit. Like it's print on demand. But for the most part, the cards are really good. But the thing that's even more frustrating is you see simple things. Those tokens over there, the green and red. It's like, what the fuck are those? There's no design on them, so they're not waiting on art. We put the minis together, so they just have to make sprues, and that's the designer direction that is very frustrating. The last update was in November, so it's been 4 or 5 months, so no one even knows, and that's what pisses people off. And whenever it comes to Kickstarter, if, like I said, if this had come out in 2020, I guarantee it would not do as good. The reason Frosthaven is making $6 million, it made $4 million in day one, because Gloomhaven is such a pure and almost perfect example of a perfect game for $100. And
It really is.
And you sit there and you look at examples like that, and it's like Frosthaven. Oh, it's basically Gloomhaven with a settlement phase. Fucking yeah. What? Oh, the full pledge is $240. Okay. No problem.
All of it.
No problem.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. And so then you look at stuff like this and you're like, okay, so most people don't even have half their shit, but they're still waiting. They're like, man, I can only imagine what it's gonna be like, and it's like, where is it?
Yeah, especially with everything that's been going on, like just in the world recently. Like, there's a lot of like, well, is it getting made? Like, is it even allowed to be getting made?
And it
but
got
he's
delayed.
not. But no one's telling us.
Yeah,
so.
it got delayed till 2021 for Wave 3, and that's not even the good stuff. Ivory King, or the Ivory Dragon, Black Knight, that's Wave 4.
So
That's like 2022, 23, if it doesn't get pushed back again. Yeah, all the cool stuff the Campaigns of Death and Gambler's Chest are Wave 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the Campaigns of Death is literally a comprehensive rule book.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So all the stuff that we paid for, that we were excited about for the most...
We won't see it for at least 3, possibly 4 years.
Yep. And so, yeah, so that's designer direction. I didn't really want to... I actually deleted it because I'm like, that's fine. But it is a concern, and it is frustrating with a game like this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, he definitely has an army of artists. I don't know how it came about to where he wanted to create this game, or how that.
Right.
But I had to deal. It had to have been like he must have had like a bunch of artist friends or artists that he hired or something like that. Let them have free range, because that's why I think I read that he just gave them. He said what he wanted to do and let them have free range on their creativity. That's why we see so many different images in here. We got like the more anime style, one that are more like a CGI style, like with the Gorm's scare, or the more like the olden. I don't want to call it Victorian. Like say the Lions art, where it's very illustrated stuff like this.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Where's the showdown of the lion, where it's just a lion?
Yeah, it's yeah.
But yeah, with the kind of that red and yellow look to it, I'm having a hard time. You think you got the nice ones like that.
That looks almost like a photorealistic.
So it's like he's got a bunch of artists, and I think they just all created all this shit, and he's like, I love it all. Let's put it in this game. Yeah. And that's kind of how it all came to this. I mean, it's beautifully unique, but then at the same time bloated, as you described.
And it's like, look, as a good designer, you have to turn to your team and be like, I that sounds awesome. No.
Yeah.
I want to make a quality game, not a quantity game.
Which comes with being a businessman. Like, you have to have that mindset. Not everyone can do whatever profession.
Or like you said, make another game. Like, hey, it doesn't have to be KDM.
There's nothing wrong with being creative and having so many.
Yeah, that ties to the lifestyle. So the other one is, and this one will probably be one of my weakest cons, and I think Devin will most likely disagree with this one the most. But there are times where this game almost feels like there's no replayability. And the reason why I put that on here is because the exciting thing about KDM is the unknown. Oh man, how does this monster fight? What's it going to do? Once you fight it 1-2 times, then it's like, oh, okay. That's the reason why I'm excited for all the other extra stuff in Wave 3 and 4, because I don't know what they're going to do. But once you see them, then you're like, oh, okay.
Like, the only things that we haven't fought are the Dragon God.
I know, yeah.
Lion God, Spidecules, Dragon King, Sunstalker.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Dung Beetle Knight and Flower Knight. Actually, I fought the Flower Knight with you, but...
And the tree. Don't forget the tree.
And the tree. So, some of those are nemesis. So when it comes to quarries...
Oh, yeah, you guys haven't fought the Kingsman either.
Oh, you're right, because we did Slenderman instead, yeah. So the main ones that we have left to fight are nemesis. And funny enough, I actually loved the nemesis by the end of this. I was excited for nemesis, and they were my least favorite part at the beginning of the game, because they were so hard.
But it was also because we filled the game with everything.
We did. I had to take a bunch of stuff out because you can't. I guess you could play the whole campaign with everything.
Punish me, Daddy!
But it would be disgusting.
Adam Pooty.
Adam Pooty.
But you're right. And so that's where the no replayability kind of comes in. It's like, if I were to do this again, like a campaign, it's like, oh yeah, it's the fucking lion again. Even literally in this campaign, it was like, what do we fight? Like, we fought...
Or give us, like, New Game Plus or something, where, like, we get to keep our settlement and like our heroes die fighting the Gold Smoke Knight or
For whatever
whatever
reason.
Well, nothing's stopping you from homebrewing that.
That
and
is
then
true, yeah.
you just continue.
There is actually a strange story event that can occur. It's super rare.
Really?
It's a settlement event. It's called Clinging Mist.
Okay.
And if you roll certain on it, the people that you have out get so lost that they just happen to stumble upon another level 1 line and have to start their own settlement.
Oh.
And so then you keep all the gear that you create. You lose all your innovations in settlement, but everything you've crafted remains.
It remains. So there you go. There's your New Game Plus, but you have to randomly get it.
It's incredibly random, and it's...
Yeah. So, I mean, and that is kind of disappointing because it's like, if it's a lifestyle game, it should have unlimited, and I know unlimited. You can play this over and over and over,
Mm-hmm.
but why would you? I mentioned it multiple times. Why would we go fight a Gorm again? There's no reason. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I see where you're coming from, but I lean more towards like if there was more developed story. Like I honestly I wouldn't be too wild about playing this again, like full through. But I also want to see like the other side. Like I want to see like a more nurturing settlement, a kinder set, people who don't just eat dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I died.
I'd like to
Everybody,
see how that goes.
everybody gets to eat my corpse and then die.
I mean, and that's exactly it. That's what you do. You're okay. Well, we played this way, and now we're gonna play it again as the other way. But that's external game stuff. That's the story element. The
Which
art
I'm
role-play.
obviously more invested in.
And that's fine. Yeah, and that's what I want to do. Like Devin and I want to do a swordsman thing, like a seven swordsman master thing, and be like, oh, that could be fun. Do a different campaign, and that would give me the freshness and the newness. But that's the extra. Like, but whenever it comes to the actual game, it'll play out the exact same way.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That. Yeah. It's kind of. Yeah.
Say when it eventually gets to the point where like you've fought level 1s and 2s of everything. And level 3 is like the pinnacle of it, and you can kill it before it even attacks back. Why even have them in the lantern years?
Right, exactly. I mean, because like Devin has said, most of the time, these people don't live as long as they usually do. Like, you get them to where, like, in all honesty, we should have shelved them. And been like, okay, well, we're just going to wait.
And they wouldn't have gotten so godly.
Literally what we did with Bathsheba and Malachi. Was we shelved them because they're like, okay, these guys are so good, and now they're hot trash.
Right.
Looking
in comparison,
in comparison,
yeah, we got attached. Like that's just you get comfort. It's a comfort thing, especially for me.
And the reason why, and Devin and I, we had a couple reasons like this. The reason why you go to fight the thing over and over, and I hate it, is you try to get the death blow because there's only specific items that you can get. Like my riot mace, which is the best mace in the game, is based off of a death blow from the Gorm. And so you have to keep going after the Gorm over and over and over and over until you randomly get it on a perfect draw. Or mitigate it by certain ways. And there are ways to do that. And we did that like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And that was exciting. Every single time I was like, oh man, okay. So that's what put strategy into the fight. That's what made the fights really exciting, was whenever we had our build and it wasn't just, I broke my mace again. But it wasn't just, okay, alright, I missed. It wasn't just that. Like, we actually had to be like, okay, hey, a 10.
Perfect.
It wasn't like, okay, so I gotta move around here, and then, so that was exciting. But that's why. That's your replayability, is literally fight the same thing over and over and over until you happen to get that perfect hit, or the resources that you want. Because there were times where it's like, oh, you need a shimmering mane. Ah, sorry, you didn't draw it.
Yeah.
Or you didn't get a crit on that location.
We almost died.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the Monster Hunter. So this is why I said you'd probably disagree with me on this one the most.
Oh,
the replayability. Because you love Monster Hunter literally more than all of us combined.
Yeah.
And so you probably don't have a problem literally fighting Gorm over and over and over and over. Or
not if I need the stuff and I haven't done it. And that it goes to the point where you sharpen your strategy. Once you know how the monster plays, because it's like that first time, it's a shitstorm. It's a shitstorm. Because then he's got that piercing vomit. He vomits all over you, and then it's an instant severe injury, and it's just a bad day.
Yeah, that's true.
And then once you figure it out, where he's going to go, how he's going to move, and then it's like...
You learn, like, and it's thematically cool. Because you're like, hey, by the way, don't get in front of it, because you know he's going to throw up. So you maneuver around him.
But then, unfortunately, meta exists. So it's like, we've played the game before. You know how a Gorm fights. So yeah, it'd be hard to go a new group of friends or whatever. It's like you know that they're gonna die if you don't tell them what to do.
It's like, do you want them to be the experienced person, or do you want to thematically, like you would as a wise person in a barbaric settlement, go on the hunt with the newbies and be like, don't stand in front of it, advise them, or do you sit back and be like, well, he didn't know that it was going to throw up and incinerate him. What an idiot. Guess he wasn't meant to survive in Determination Nation. You wouldn't do that. But it's like, a lot of people in board games have problem with quarterbacking. So it's like, if it's not me and you, it's like, oh, well, I want to go. Nope, don't. No, but I want to. No. It's like, so people.
Please stop!
People have a problem with that. But it's like, thematically, I would tell you not to stand in front of his fucking vagina mouth and throw up on you. But, yeah, so
You would just want to yell, hey, that has a vagina mouth. You probably don't want to be near it.
Yeah, and so you have to balance, like, okay, well, once again, cool theme or in game mechanics. And sometimes it's just like, okay, well, it doesn't, it's never balanced. Let's go to a pro, because I do have more. Ooh. The other pro I have is the AI monster deck. This is one of the coolest. That's like the pinnacle of this game to me, is that AI monster deck, because no other game, Folklore, Gloomhaven, set all of them. Okay, what's their health? 70? Okay. And you just, okay, well, I do 6 damage, 9 damage, and you just tick it down. Here, it's actually like, oh man, what I hit, and okay, his fuming scrag and his fuming cowder.
The big lion balls.
Yeah, his balls, and it's like, okay, like, that's really cool, because then you can look at it and be like, oh man, okay, so you can thematically explain things that we do. And then it's like, okay, well, it's going to have a reflex, and he's going to fucking deflect it and then hit you back. And that the AI deck, that's probably one of the best iterations of monster fighting and boss fighting in any board game that I've played. Because it so accurately represents, well, they're not just standing there like, oh, yep, nope, keep hitting me. It's like, they're going to do shit.
It gives you what you want as a boss fight.
Yep, like, not Diablo, Dragon's Dogma.
Yes.
Is the game around it is kind of shitty, but the fights were awesome, because you can like climb up on a fucking ogre and stab its eye.
Oh, yeah, that was a cool game.
And so it's like, wow.
Fucking followers.
Oh yeah, the gross
fucking slaves or whatever the hell they were.
Pawns.
Yeah, it's like they're not really people. And then you whore them out to other people.
Oh, that's true. You did do that.
But like,
but the fights were awesome, and it's like each of them were different.
Because if you go and fight I played the shit out of that game.
I couldn't get past.
You pretty them up. You make them cuter so people want to hire them.
Yeah, and
they are fucking whores.
Yeah, that's all they were. And you could like weirdly lower their mouth as far, and it's like, hello, and they were just hideous people.
Their character creator was fantastic.
The game looked pretty bad.
But like, so when you go and fight a chimera, it had 3 separate heads. It had the lion, the goat, and the snake. And, like, depending on the order in which you killed him, it changed the attitude of the beast.
Yeah.
So, like, if you killed the goat, it couldn't cast magic anymore. So it focused on melee and poison damage from the snake.
Yep.
Killed the snake, it cast more magic. Like, you killed the lion. The goat fucking jumped around everywhere and tried to kill you.
Yeah.
While it casted magic. So, like...
and this almost executes that to a T.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay... okay, I'm gonna hit it, and it's like, I'm gonna hit its paw, and you get a critical, you chop the paw off. So whenever it does another AI, it's like, oh, it actually bleeds out, and it doesn't. And it's like, it does it so well. And like I said, each of them are different. You hit the antelope, it fucking bolts. It's like, well, it's an antelope. Like, yeah, it has a mouth on its fucking...
You swing at this humanoid knight, and it knows you're going to attack, so it counters, and then hits you right back.
Yeah, that was actually, even though it didn't come up a lot, actually came up a lot on me, because I surged to do any type of damage. But it was like, it's like he can tell you're getting cocky. Or you're going to keep attacking and just fucks you up before you can. And it's really cool, because you actually get the feeling of the progression of damage to the animal. It's like, yeah, it's not a health bar, so you're going to sit there and be like, okay, well, half of its AI deck is gone, so it's not going to be doing as much. Right. Or potentially, and there's your variety in the replayability whenever you're fighting the monsters, because they will do different things technically, but overall they do have a general theme. So like I said, there's pros and cons to really the same thing that I'm putting on the list. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the AI the AI.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like you said, you pretty well covered it. I mean, it can make them, they act very strangely once it comes down to it. It's, you've wounded them, and now it's wounded, it's scared, it's jumping around, it's doing like the same shit over and over. It just keeps growling at you to try and make you run away, or keep attempting to parry, or...
And sometimes you get really sad whenever
or
you have...
just jumping repeatedly in the air, just ground pounding, fucking Shovel Knight over here.
And it always makes sense too. Like, I think it's really interesting. Like, I really like the ones where like you're fighting like a humanoid person, like one of the knights or
the
whatever.
Nemesis.
Yeah.
Literally, the special showdowns and the Nemesis ended up being the coolest fights.
Yeah.
And I hated them.
But like, I love the cards
early.
that like when they go to like reflex and hit you, they're like, they strike back in like disgust, because it's just like, oh yeah, he's like, how did you hit me? Like, how dare you? Like, I think that, yeah.
Yeah, and that, kind of going back to the sense of progression, was like at the beginning, whenever it was like when the butcher first showed up, and it was like, oh god, we're gonna die. And then he comes back, and then it's just like me just bolting towards him.
We have to like restrain
or like how he kept attacking you over and over and over and over, because you
fighting.
couldn't. It was like, I
like,
can't.
what?
And he was getting furious and just kept chopping at you, and you wouldn't die.
Like the first butcher fight, Malachi got hit once from like Hack City or something, and you made your character go in the corner.
That was the Manhunter. Because he like had to pick me or him, and he picked me and he shot me, and I'm like, I'm not letting him die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys can fight him. Yeah, exactly. Or like the traps, where it's like thematically cool with the Manhunter, for example. You go in and you get one of his tombstones or stake drivers, and it's like you went to attack him and he's just like, nope, and just slammed you on the ground. You're like, it sucks. And drawing the trap is always horrible.
And it makes you mad.
And it makes me mad.
Almost every perfect hit you had.
That was bad. That was really... I'm like, hey, perfect hit. Okay, I might get two. Nope. Trap. But later on you build, and then it's like, okay, the trap's there, so really the only sad thing is I don't get to wound him. But sometimes it's not as horrendous as it was earlier in the game. But yeah, the hit location deck, and I will say I like that they do have these moods and the statuses as the monsters level up, because that's what's going to change from level 1, 2, and 3 is the special cards, where it's like, oh, this time he's going to grab you and deal 5 damage to a hit location and knock you down, and it's like, oh god, okay, so we can't get near him. So yeah, so that was a pretty big pro, because that is my favorite thing about the game.
It's really cool.
Number 4 that I have for cons is both of these are kind of limited to gameplay, is restricted gameplay. So this is kind of where the restricted part is they have so much items, but there's almost a specific way you have to build. Like, it was so difficult to want to do anything cool without it. It's like, well, I can't make it. Like the Miramasa or whatever, it's like, well, we can't make it. Like, we can't make that useful. Because a lot of it really required you to have fighting arts or things like that. So it's like, well, I have to randomly get that for even to make it worth it. So they give you a lot of stuff. But then it's like with these affinities and with this limited, 3x3 grid, it's like, well, I can't realistically make that. So now we literally have a pile of shit.
Yeah.
That it's like there's so many cool items in here that we would never use.
Yeah. Like the affinities kind of made it feel bulky and weighted down
and it's like, oh man, what if I get this? Nope, I can't, because I literally have to have these affinities in a specific way. So there's our pile of stuff. Like, you can't just equip it just to have it equipped. And that's kind of a bummer, because I like the idea of all the gear and stuff, and I'm even fine with the 3x3 stuff. I think the affinities is kind of what kills it. Because it is so restricted. Like, you can't have... Like, there were times whenever it's like, oh, who wants to take the final lantern? I don't know, that's going to fuck up my whole thing because I need these affinities. And so someone has to make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
it's like, it gives you affinities, but it's like, well, is it worth it?
Right.
Like, okay, great, it gave me 2 affinities, but it's like, it just fucked it. It does, it just messes everything up.
So, that was one of the cons that I had. What do you guys think?
I mean, I can't really call it a con. It's just, it's always something that I felt like I'm part of it. Yeah, I can see it being very frustrating. And it's unfortunate. Maybe I'm just not experienced enough with the game. But yeah, it does feel like, I mean, you have to build that set and use that set.
Yep.
And then deviations from that are almost impossible.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they don't have enough benefiting a mixed
abilities.
Build. Like, it'd be hard. You couldn't have like this helmet, this chest, and then all this other stuff, and it tactically work out for you.
Right.
That's just, it's too difficult. I don't know, maybe if I knew a little more of the game, maybe some more of the expansions, because I guess Dung Beetle Knight's supposed to mess with that somewhat. But it's just, it's hard, and it's definitely... it'd be cool if you could mix up a little more. Be a little more hodgepodge.
Yeah, like that's the RPG nature. It's like, okay, well, let me build my character the way I want to build, but it seems like that to adhere to their way, to keep it in line with their difficulty and their scope, it's like, nope, okay, well, we don't want them to customize or have fun. We want them to play our game the way we want them to play it, so this is really how they're going to have to do it. Instead of realizing that, okay, we have a lot of items, we have a lot of ways for them to build, let's compensate for that. Let's have different ways, like, that the monsters can fight because of this certain build, instead of trying to break it. Because I know for a fact, if you had free reign, you'd have god characters, not even off stats, you'd have it off of your elements. And I know there's ways, literally saw it today, an insane build. Like, you can build to where your fighting art and stuff like that, like, you benefit from if you're insane. And in ways like that. You have the Lion Knight gear that makes you attack literally 9 dice and crit on 7s or higher. And bow, and then, Gorm set and Lantern, and all that's cool. But we literally have, Lantern, Gorm, Rawhide, White Lion. And that's it. We couldn't sit here and be like, oh man, so I'd really like to use blood paint and a sword and a whip, and that'd be really neat. Nah, you really can't, because it's not going to be that beneficial. It's kind of like whenever you're playing D&D, and it's like you want to make a character that's really cool outside of like combat, but there's a lot of combat, so you build a combat character, otherwise you're useless in the fucking fight. That's kind of what you do here, is you have to make him efficient to go in the showdowns, because of course that's the whole deal.
Yeah.
And it's not like a huge con, because I loved playing as this, but it would have been really cool to sit there and be like, oh man, I'll take bandages in the Miramasa and I can fix myself up. It's like, no, you can't. Because the 3x3, or the 3x3 thing, and then the affinities just kind of kill it. Like, we have so many cool things in here that we just would never use. We literally have the Butcher's Cleaver, and it's like, no, all those arrows that would have been giving you compensation, it's like, no, well, we'll take those out because they don't benefit in the affinities.
That's a mid-tier arrow. You bring that against a level 2, not a level 3. Throw that out.
Yeah, you need the dense bone arrow, and that's it. Which is really, that's correct. That's what you would do. And that kind of comes back to the replayability, where it's like, oh, I want to get the lantern gear. Okay, here's your set. Like, no, I know you want to use the bow. It's not good with the bow. You need a club. So you don't get, stop crying again. You're going to use the club. And that's kind of disappointing, because you want, even if it's not, you're not supposed
somebody to stop the camera. I'm gonna beat your ass.
Like, I know it's not supposed to be attached to the character, but you can at least have fun making the goddamn thing. And it's like, oh well, okay, well, I guess this is what I have, and I can't do anything else about it. So that's that. Josh, Kat, you got anything?
Nope.
Not to add, no.
Okay. I know this is a long discussion. I have one more left for both of these. And my number one is, for pros, is actually theme. It'd be AI deck, but the theme, that's the reason why I kept coming back. Like, I know we were talking about how the story is very frustrating and there's fucking nothing in it, but everything that Devin has read and everything that is in the game is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many times I said how this game would benefit from being an RPG, like a tabletop RPG. Like a world that you can actually role play and try and survive and be in, because there's so much cool things around it. And even with the expansions, which I feel like do a better job, okay, there's a Silver City, okay, where'd the hand come from, what is he, all that stuff, even though it's frustrating that it's not there, like to explain it somewhere else off their website or whatever, it's still really cool. Like the idea to think of that the hand is some guy, you only find him once, and I didn't even remember that, but he fights, and then you can beat him 2 ways. You can endure him out, or you can fight him out. And whenever you fight him out and you actually cause him to like flinch, that's so fucking neat. Because you're like, oh damn, this almost immovable god flinched. And then he's like, okay. And just pulls out his sword once. And
it's fucking around.
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit. And if you survive, you get some insane fighting art. And then it's so cool. Like the god, the god of 1,000 years, the White Secrets, all those story events were always so neat, except for the legendary antelope. So yeah, that's literally what made me come back. Is because I wanted to be in the world because it's very fucking cool.
I think this would be such an awesome book. Like I would love to read just a horror obscure story. I think it would be so cool.
Yeah.
The aesthetic and atmosphere it gives off is very much a Souls game.
Very much, yeah.
Bleak nature, society's either on the verge of collapse or is so new that we're just piss ants to gods.
Yeah.
Right.
It's basically a very corrupted version of the beginning of Genesis. We woke up. We're oh, this is who we are. We don't know why. Nobody knows why we're here right now on this planet. They don't either, so that's okay. They don't have those answers, but yeah,
And thematically, that is really cool because you wake up, especially with new players. You wake up. We as real people don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So we learn kind of with them, and then the epic heroes that we have, Yahweh and Maurice and Laura Vanderbruggen and Ra, are the elders of this settlement that know everything, and at this point we do as well. So that's really cool. The Watcher stuff, where it's okay, well, he was watching over us, and he was actually protecting us. Oh wow, that's really cool. And that's why it's so frustrating that the story isn't there, because you want to know more.
Yeah, you want to delve into the whys.
Yeah, it is very enticing. And at this point in 2020, people don't want vagueness anymore. I don't feel like they do. I think because every single story, it's oh, well, why did this happen? Every TV show, movie, it's well, they didn't explain that person that passed the screen and everything about his backstory. So people want clarification. So I feel like a thing like this doesn't benefit off of it anymore.
Right. It's we don't want a lore dump. Because that's what a lot of those games...
We don't want exposition.
Yeah, we don't want exposition. It's okay, so this is everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
This is the past, the history. This happened at this time. It's nothing that you're going to fucking remember.
Right.
It's we need to strike a balance. It's I want to know about the current situation. And then maybe once I reach the end, a little bit of a synopsis.
Yeah.
Just a summary. Tell me... Yeah. I would like the book to... I know they're very vague about the Watcher, but yeah, I would like that to be a little more upfront about it.
Yep. So I think theme was one of the biggest pros. It was one I typed out as soon as I was making the list because it is really, really cool. And the pros that I have here are strong, and it's things like that will still keep my score what it's gonna be. But the cons, man, are so bad, and this is the worst one right here. You ready?
I know.
Can you guess?
I think I know.
Oh, wait, guess.
Is it the clarification issues?
No, that is on here. I passed it.
We bitched about it.
Because we've been sitting here for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand that this is a long discussion. I do have unclear gameplay. That is very fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
It does make me very mad. But there's a reason why, and the number one reason, the cost of this game is and that's why it makes me so mad. Because unclear gameplay, the fact that this game costs literally 2 paychecks of mine is disgusting, and it makes every single one of those cons eat another tier higher, because it's I paid more. Gloomhaven, I've mentioned, is $100, and you get a streamlined campaign game with decisions that matter, with both dungeon crawl and a somewhat city building. Frosthaven promises a more settlement phase for literally a fourth of the cost of the core game here. And now it has standees, but there are minis. And let's take a game like Hate, where I showed you guys the minis. That game sucked, but the minis were so fucking good, and I think for everything it was $300. And it's I didn't have to put them together. So you can't even benefit off of it. Well, you get the minis. No, you don't. You put them together. And then if you run out or fuck up, you have to buy another armor set. So even whenever you can't even pay for everything of the game and have everything, because you're always gonna be buying piddly shit. You and I bought every single dice set for no reason, because we're just we're in deep.
We wanted them, yeah.
And I think the cost of this for everything so far is what, $3,000? I think are we each about $3,000 in?
I want to say
maybe 2.
When I went to Gen Con and purchased everything, granted it was slightly reduced in price versus how it would have been online.
On their website.
Think it was about $1,200.
Okay.
And that was board game. That was the board game, the core game, and all of the expansions.
Okay.
I also got a few. I got the Echoes as well while I was there.
You did get them, yeah.
So you put it at 12, and then you add the insert. That's another $60.
The sleeves were probably $200.
Yeah, the sleeves
total.
Huge. Granted, we did buy quite a bit more, anticipating the expansion material.
Yep, and we did buy premium sleeves. We paid extra dice.
Each one of those is $20.
Yeah, $20.
They are hugely
you have
marked up.
the white speaker and the ones that actually come with cards. Like, because you
$20
haven't bought
a pop.
pinups, I haven't bought pinups. We paid $30 to have the hunt phase, and this is obviously all extra stuff. You don't need extra
Hunt
dice.
board,
Oh yeah, these acrylic sets
Yeah,
off
I mean,
of
this
eBay.
is-
You bought the 3D terrain.
I did.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't.
I fully understand.
So
I mean, I just had a little extra money, and I was like, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I just love this idea of it all being textured and painted.
I do too. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, no, it's not going to be practical.
Right.
So probably, and then with the Black Friday shit, that was like what, 500? Like, because we didn't have to get everything whenever we got the Wave 3 and 4.
Oh, no, the Black Friday stuff.
Oh no, it was like
That
8.
was easily $1,000.
Yeah, because I forgot. I was thinking it was like
$1,400
400 for me.
I was like, I feel like that's
Yeah,
close
because
to
you
what
and I,
pitched
you
it.
gave me a lot of money for it. Then I went in a little bit more, and then Kat helped.
Yeah.
It was about $1,000.
It was, I think it was about $400.
You and I spent like 2 hours looking through it to make sure we were getting
Yeah,
it.
we looked for an hour and a half and made sure that I can only give you so much.
No, I mean, the fact that you gave me anything was awesome.
But like, I know I spent at least 400 on the Black Friday stuff, and then initially when we bought this, we split it 3 ways.
3 ways, so it was about like
300 something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah, because you gave
definitely
me 4.
3, but like I'm probably middling 3
and a half.
for all the terrain
Yeah.
that I bought.
And this is for literally everything. So, of course, you don't have to do that. But if you really want any type of replayability, any differentiating campaigns, you have to spend more. You don't have to get any of the extra models. You don't have to get the extra dice. So, at most, for actual game content, you're probably spending at least $2,000. And that is disgusting. And I fully believe the diehard fans, and I'm lumping in myself and even you, if this game was $100, it would be shit. But the fact that we've put in so much money that we're almost a little like, oh, I kind of got to overlook it. Like I can't. I have to convince my girlfriend or wife that I really like it. And I obviously can't speak for you, but that's kind of where it's like, well. If this was a $100 game, I would not have finished 30 Lantern Years.
Yeah?
No. I would have wrote off that 100 and been like, that's fine.
Oh.
But I spent $3,000 and like he put money in it, so I want him to play it. You put money, Kat put money. It's like, well, we're gonna fucking finish because we spent the money.
So we'll say that like each game, 30 games, was around an hour to an hour and a half.
About right.
On average.
Yeah.
So you get, we'll say, tops of like 45 hours out of this for the amount of money we put in.
Yeah, true.
Out of just one playthrough.
Yeah.
And I've never played Gloomhaven, so I can't compare it.
Gloomhaven, each session's about an hour.
So, and I don't know how many situations there are.
Well, I'd say in this game it's like
there were about, sorry, not exactly 100. There's like 94 scenarios.
So you're guaranteed essentially an hour per dollar you put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did not get that out of this.
Right. Yeah. Like, so if it was $3,000 and we had, I don't know how to math that out. I was going to, but I don't feel like doing it. So yeah, and that's what. So the design, the designer direction, the limited kind of. Hey, we kind of need to play that. The randomness, the lack of variety in gameplay, the unclear where it's like, okay, I spent $3,000 and I'm not even really sure how these things work because he just kept adding more and more without retconning things. That'd be like if Magic just kept every card. Like, yeah. Oh, here's a new set every month. Oh, what? No. Oh, yeah.
They did do that.
They did do it, and it breaks it.
It does.
And sometimes it's broken here, and you have to take liberties. And if I spent $3,000 on the game, I don't want to sit here and make half the game. Not even talk about the minis, but I don't even want to sit here and be like, okay, so how does that work? Well, we're gonna home rule it, or you have to make it aesthetically work. And it's like, because there were multiple times where I'm like, well, why is this happening if that doesn't even thematically make sense? Well, that's what the card says, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, there were definitely several stretches, and you see several instances of that, like especially like in weapon keywords and like where they work, because it's like they wanted to. It's like they wanted to create all these things, but then at the same time they're like, okay, they need to work within the concept of the game that we have devised. So then it's now you're seeing things that are obviously made of bone,
right?
That don't have the bone keyword, because you have this build called the Bone Zerker. If you have these earrings, you get these huge buffs for having nothing but bone in your gear grid.
Yeah.
So then. Yeah, you get like the lion fucking spear, which is literally made of a great cat bones.
Yeah,
doesn't have the bone keyword.
Right.
So it's it's like they create all these things, but then they have to So that's definitely one of my complaints. Is that they had to skewer a lot of their theme to make it work within the mechanics of the game.
Yep.
And like say Lion Beast guitars.
Yeah.
They're obviously fucking knuckles.
Yeah.
Can't they be fist and tooth?
Right. Yeah. There's nothing built around fist and tooth except some fighting arts.
It is literally just the wrong thing.
And we're not even going to go into nitty gritty of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a little much.
That I wanted to go over kind of high level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you're getting at is cost to like gameplay, essentially.
Cost to game pleasure, satisfaction.
So, like, I've put in maybe a little less than $1,000 into this.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I have got only... I didn't even get to play 6 or 7 games.
Right.
So...
Which I did clarify before we continue.
Yeah. That's fine. So, out of the 23 we'll say, I missed 7. 23 out of 30 games that I got to play was 23 and a half hours or whatever.
About 30 hours, probably.
30 hours in, and I've spent almost $1,000 on this, and I've spent $1,000 on Magic cards easy.
Yeah,
that
is true.
Real fucking easy.
Yeah.
I've played years worth of games.
Mm-hmm.
Video games wise, I've bought, like if I were to put up the price of The Witcher 3 with everything, the Sekiro, Bloodborne, all 3 Dark Souls games combined, I have probably 40 times the amount of hours and not even half the price.
Yeah. And that's really what like I said, if this game, I'd probably be able to overlook some of the cons if the game was cheaper. And we have played games multiple times where I've made the exact same complaints, and I'm like, well, the game was $60, and that sucks. Well, I've even mentioned games that we didn't like, and I'm like, oh, this was $300, and it's like, oh shit, this game is $3,000. Well, the core game is $400. For everything in a big Kickstarter is $300, and it just elevates it so much. And I guarantee you, my ranking for this game and my feeling towards it, it's going to be what it is because it's so expensive. And like you said, the satisfaction to cost doesn't meet up. The ending of this year, we played this for a year. Like, this is I've never even played a fucking D&D campaign for a year. And for it to end with, the smoke puts you in a breathless slumber. What the fuck? You couldn't even do an ending right, let alone fucking half your game. Because, like you mentioned, it's unclear and ambiguous, and it's like, okay, well, why does that work, but this doesn't work? And it's like, ugh. Every time I was just always in the back of your head. I guarantee you, it never leaves. It's like, I spent a lot on this money, so I have to let it go. Otherwise, what did I spend my money on? Mm-hmm. And it's just, Kat, what do you think? Well, you didn't really put any money into it. Oh, you did.
I did, but it's not as heavy hitting because I did not put the majority of money into it. But I mean, like, I'm definitely like, content matters. Mm-hmm. It really, really matters.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, it's the same for a video game. It's like I can play a 4-hour video game, and if it's got a fucking awesome story, I'm gonna be happy. Whereas, like, if I play a 60+ hour video game and like it ends with, if they Mass Effect 3 it, like,
yeah,
and it just ends poorly.
That's such a good point. Like, everything you're saying always leads into what I want to say next. And I was gonna say, we're so insane.
This is so
if these issues were in a video game, people would riot. Like, and you see issues like this in video games. You just mentioned the ending to Mass Effect 3, and people shit on that as a series.
They had to make a whole new ending.
Yeah. And it's like, of course, you have people who are like, I like it, and I don't mind Mass Effect 3's
It's the only ending I know.
But it's like, the games as a service, the things that they want to do in this game, for some reason people praise this as like sheer perfection, But it's like a bitch about a game that's $60. And I'm like, why did I pay $60 for that? It's not worth $60. This is not worth $400. I'm not even saying $3,000 because all that stuff is extra. $400. This game is not worth $400. And with that being said, there's two questions I'm going to ask you guys. One, of course, is going to be the ranking for it after the whole campaign. But before that, would you recommend this game to someone? I guess you can say the ranking and then if you would recommend it. So, Devin, we will start with you. Yeah. What is your final campaign ranking? Because now, this is the one campaign you finished.
I have finished this campaign. I mean, we did do Pandemic that one time.
No, well, sorry, I meant for Kingdom Death.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
you have your solo.
That's right. I stalled out my solo, and I probably won't go back to it anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's just whatever.
And see, you won't even play Pandemic again. And that was less than this.
Yes.
And you didn't even pay for that.
I sure didn't.
Pandemic.
It just... I don't know. It has a gameplay loop that is just stress. So anyway, that's awesome.
We're playing it right now.
That is true.
I have the cure.
I don't have enough turn.
That is true. Yeah, you got a good point.
Oh, shit.
So I am curious on what your final ranking is, and if you would recommend this to someone.
I mean, I still really enjoy the game. There's quibbles, there's qualms, and you've helped me see a lot of the unclear. And a lot of the rules, which is definitely frustrating.
I do remember, especially whenever we played because for 2-3 weeks we were doing 3 or 4 sessions, and I remember there was a time where you were like, "It's a little much." Like you were actually finally, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting through the wall." It's like he's seeing the light. There are a lot of issues. Versus me just bitching just a bitch. It's like, that's the one that he's like, yeah, I'm starting to see some myself.
I think it was like where we played 4 games, and I think like 3 is mine.
There were a lot like popping up, where
Yeah.
a lot of like inconsistencies, unclear gameplay, or thematic issues, where it's like, yeah, this is, oh man, that's kind of frustrating. But anyway,
I mean, yeah, definitely the price, all that. It's a lot. And I definitely would be trepidatious in recommending this to somebody without knowing their financial state.
True. That's a good point for any game, in all honesty.
Yeah. I mean, I still love the hell out of it. It is like my favorite board game.
Yeah.
I come back to this no problem.
Yeah.
I salivate at the idea of bringing new people into it.
Yeah.
To play with me. I don't want them to have to buy it because it's super expensive.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to do that to you.
You're right.
I mean, I bought it so I could enjoy it with other people.
True.
I'm still up there. I mean, I really enjoy the game. I come back to it easily. It has all the replayability I need. I'm still a 10.
10?
I still really enjoy it. It is expensive. It is ridiculous, and that definitely it's marked up, and I accept that, and only because of my financial situation that I can burden this.
I guess that's
and
true.
I'm like to someone in that would have more trouble. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. Sure, I recognize that.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess the recommendation on the price point is very subjective because to me, paying $100 for a Kickstarter game is no problem. And I don't say that to brag, but it's like some people might have difficulty paying for a $50 game. And that's just the way it is. So obviously, whenever I mention recommendation, it's kind of taking cost out almost, like assuming that people can afford to play this. Because obviously it's like, oh, I recommend it. Oh, you don't have $400? Oh, well, okay, I guess not. It's like, obviously, if they can afford it, would you recommend it? Let me rephrase. So, Josh. Yeah. So, Josh, we'll go to you next.
So, I would probably not recommend this to anyone. Mainly because of its price point.
Yeah.
If you were like,
if someone had $400 burning a hole in their pocket,
base game, sure, $400. If you had nothing other in that price range that you would want, sure, get it.
And make sure you have a group of gaming friends.
Yes.
Actually, I would say this game is better with 2.
It is definitely not too bad.
Yeah,
because me and Logan just were blowing through it. It was great.
Yep.
There wasn't too much around the table.
Yep. When you and I did the Vignette of Death, and I did it with Josh, it's like you just control 2 people. And like whenever it comes to resources and endeavors, it's just one other person that you have to bounce back stuff. And you'd be like, oh, like it's almost you with 4. Because, like, if I don't want to sit here and tell Kat what to build, because that's her thing. But if it's me and you, well, we can be like, oh, let's do it. Let's
you get to bounce ideas off of somebody instead of trying to manipulate what's going on.
And then in the settlement and the showdown phase, it's just you and, like, how I play Gloomhaven solo. It's you control 2 things, and it's perfect. Here, it's the same way in a 2-player game. So 4, I felt, was a little much, especially for a 30-year campaign. But yeah, so you wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend this. I definitely would not recommend to buy everything.
Right.
I get why we did, and
Addiction.
Yeah, pretty much.
and I understand that you have the financial situation where you could pay for it all, but like
I got the pinups. I gotta yank it.
comparing
Wet
it to
nurse.
like what you could put $3,000 towards, especially since not to brag or nothing, I just bought a house,
Right.
and like that's a down payment on a house
Yeah.
for everything in this board game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I've almost loved every single game. There were a couple where it was like, okay, that's some bullshit.
Right.
But $400, if you can split it with people
Yep.
and enjoy it with people, yeah, go for it, whatever. I would not spend $400 to play this by myself.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
even if my brother was like, I want to play this, go fuck yourself.
Right. Right.
Please go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But that being said, the conglomeration of so many genres is overwhelming at times, and that it really brings it down. And then the ending, I am almost never the guy that's like, well, the ending has to be perfection for it to be good. I like the journey as it also, but I like a good ending as well.
There wasn't even an epilogue.
I know.
Like,
And when you have the frustrations of consistent permadeath
yeah.
with your character progression when you're trying to be a Dark Souls-esque game with Civ, with a looting system and all this
Right.
other crazy shit,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Right.
To Adam Poot, like, you have an amazing mind.
He has an amazing world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flesh it out.
Flesh it out. Add some more consistent things in it, just to where, like, if you need to play this way, a certain way, and like this and that, I still think the game is good for a lot of it. Just other than those, I'm gonna say it's a 7.
7.
It's a good game.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go out and tell anybody go spend $400. on
Right.
this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, initially you were a 10, and then
was.
whenever I did my solo discussion, you were still at a 10. Or I think maybe a 9, but I think you were still really up there, so it did drop a little bit for you. So, okay. Kat.
I will try to be as concise as possible.
As succinct.
As succinct.
1.
Seth, go ahead.
Would you recommend it?
Seth, it's your turn.
It's okay. Okay, so what I rate it, I'll give it a 5.
A 5?
I'm gonna give it a 5 because it does some things really, really good. It does some things really, really wrong. It has mechanics that I don't personally like. It doesn't mean that it's a bad game. I rate things based on what I feel. There's just a lot to it, and I do get overwhelmed. I like simplicity. I like things to just be nice and clean. It's not.
And, well, for the record, actually, that was a pro of mine, was Streamline. The game, to play it, is simple. Like, the gameplay is simple, and that is nice. Because there's a lot of campaign games that are very just, like, cumbersome, and you're just like, oh god, so many little and this game does have fiddly rules and things like that, but for the most part, you know, okay, so here's my attack, I roll this many dice, that's what I hit on. It is very streamlined in that sense, and so that is a pro. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Just fucking upset.
I just hate you. No. But I mean, like, you know, it does things really good. It does things poorly. It happens. I am very story driven. The fact that it's not supposed to be like a story, that's okay. I get it. But I'm also very ending driven as well. I love the journey. I love getting there as well. But like, if I had paid what you paid, and then we got that ending, I'd be like, just fucking kill my mom. Like,
right.
Just do something else to ruin my life.
Right.
Like, so that's why I'm gonna give it a 5, is because I kind of feel like betrayed by stuff like that. It's like I just put so much energy and like stress and joy with my friends, like depending on what happened, but like, and then you did that, and you didn't tell, like, you can't even tell me why.
Yeah.
So before you give yours, to like go back to her Mass Effect thing, Mass Effect across 3 games was amazing. all the way up until that very final part, and it was you only got that cutscene where the chest plate moves.
Yeah.
If you got the perfect ending.
If you got the perfect ending.
Yep.
And it's like, that's not fair to however millions of people are fans of your game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's literally the Mass Effect symbol, the Paragon symbol, is incorporated into my tattoo. Because the story, and I actually do like the ending for 3. I mean, it's shit because it was choice based literally up until the very end.
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
Ending Tron 3000.
Yeah, and
what color of light destroys your universe?
Exactly, and that's all it was. But for the up until that point, it's like, okay, that's the ending. I have to accept it. Still, all the emotion that it put me through.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Would I recommend this game? Obviously, if money wasn't an issue, if people just had $3,000, absolutely not.
Oh, I would not recommend
Yeah,
it. I never said that.
And there's a reason for it. And like I said, money is not an issue. I can literally name you probably 10 games that you could spend $3,000 on, and you'd probably spend less than $1,000 to get a deeper, gameplay-rich, story-rich, and social-rich experience than this. And that's not to say the pros I had are very strong, and I'm sure there's more. Like whenever we were playing and we're all talking in theme, and it's like the highs were really high and the lows were really low. Where you're sitting here and you as players have to incorporate story and theme and fun into a game. You shouldn't have to. Like, the game should aid you in that, and it almost doesn't. There were a lot of times where we were excited to talk about our settlement and be like, oh, we're going to bronze these guys out because that'll be cool thematically, as they're the heroes. And you go through this whole year. We've played this for a year, almost religiously. I don't think there was ever really a time we took a break. Like, there was never, 2 months where we just didn't play.
No.
I feel like, other than, the obvious, holiday break, where we were just...
Sure.
Well, any time that me and Josh were both free.
Yeah, we played it consistently.
And
then whenever you were working all the time, it was like, hey, do you care if we continue? And you're like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
And then you made it to the finale.
You
made it a point.
I made it a point to be here.
So you go through all this stuff, the heartache, or the heartache, the headache, the sheer, all the cons that I'm not going to repeat, but for that to be the ending, not even an epilogue, they didn't even give you the fucking time of day. If that was any video game, it would be a fucking 1. This game is clearly not that for me. Like I said, the pros are really good.
2.
And I have a hard time because if the price point, first of all, I wouldn't have even played this had you guys not agreed to even chip in. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes it $133. That's not bad. I can do that. But I'm not going to drop $400 whenever so many people had already kind of talked ill of this game. So it's like, if price point wasn't an issue, it'd be a 6 for me. And it was a 7, my second. With the price being brought in, it drops it to a 4. And because of how much money you have to actually put into the game to get any semblance of enjoyment, at least for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited for all the extra stuff, but I know for a fact, and I can't even raise the score on that because...
You don't know how it's going to be.
And even if it's awesome, I feel it's going to fall into the same pitfalls that this game had, where it's like, okay, well now I know how the Ivory Dragon fights. Alright, I guess I'll just shelve that. And it's like, I can't go back. I can go back and play Gloomhaven because it's choice-based and it's campaign and it's little snippets, and I actually have customization on what I want to do. I can do 7th Continent we're still in Curse 1.
Oh
and
my
what did it say?
God.
10,000 minutes per curse?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
Fucking A.
That's what they estimated was 10. And every time we feel like that we're moving forward and making traction, it's like, okay, nope, we're in this whole new area.
It needs eyes.
Yeah.
We've went to 30 places that could possibly have that.
Yeah, so it's just, and that's the thing, is if there was no other game of this ilk, which probably in 2017 there wasn't, that I would have raved over this. Oh my god, this is so unique and innovative. Board games have advanced so much for that. Campaign, gameplay, even the Euro ones where it's it used to be trading resources. Now at Gloomhaven you have a RPG experience that is Euro-like, so it's not just sitting here going, oh, 1, 3, you actually have control and get to enjoy it. And that's why I feel like it drops below average for me. And it's a real shame because it was a 10, 7, 4. So it's dropped three steps each time. But obviously, if money is not an issue, it's a 6. Luckily, I haven't had to spend all the money, like, to pay for all of it. I had help. Yeah, so, I mean, it's props. So you have a wide range. You have a 10, 7, 5, and then a 4. So that's it. Like, you can go check out our other discussions on that. Definitely go watch the first one. And, you know, let me know what you think of the game in the comments below at this point. Other than that, you guys got anything else?
I'm hungry.
We have definitely talked about a lot of stuff. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the series. The series was still fun because of you guys. Like,
I enjoyed my time.
I enjoyed it, and that's kind of a thing of board games. I enjoyed it because I was playing with my friends.
It is a great group activity.
So that was fun. And like I said, the highs were high. Like, it was exciting, but I can't look past these cons with the price point. It's so, like, they're very frustrating. So that's it, everyone. That's our discussion for Kingdom Death Monster after the campaign. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.